Chapter 1352. 1352 Clouds and rain fell. Boom! No, how is this possible? A loud sound came from the city wall of Sky Blue Island, accompanied by an old man's shocked voice. Hearing this familiar, terrified voice, all the experts of Sky Blue Island looked towards the center of the city wall. This. My God, how could it be? How could it be like this? One stick, just one stick. Lord Island Owner couldn't even block one of the opponent's sticks. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. In the center of the city wall, their island owner held a staff tightly in both hands and knelt on the ground. The staff had been broken into two pieces. The golden ocean pacifying needle landed on the top of his head, causing him to lose all life. One move, just one move, and the island master of Sky Blue Island was dead. One move, and he was reduced to ashes. Roar! At this moment, a violent roar woke everyone up, and they hurriedly looked around. One by one, the violent demon monkeys held metal sticks in their hands and flew up the city wall, killing everyone on the city wall. Block immediately! Some of the sergeants were terrified as they rushed towards the demon monkeys that were charging towards them. They slashed out with their blades. Pun! However, the moment this rank 9 extraordinary sergeants clashed with a demon monkey, the terrifying power caused his body to fly backwards. Kill! The expressions of some of the experts from the families changed as they charged towards the 300 demon monkeys. The 10,000 people on the city wall had a huge advantage against the 300 demon monkeys. Ah, not good, their strength is so strong. They are at least rank 9 transcendent demon monkeys. Oh my God, we're finished. The island lord has been killed, let's run! However, when everyone resisted the demon monkeys, they instantly felt the terrifying gap. There were at least 50 to 60 half-step void interpretation realm warriors with the lowest rank 9 battle strength. Furthermore, the island lord was already dead. What else could they use to fight? Kill! The rank 1 void interpretation realm demon monkey stood in front of the Sky Blue Island lord's corpse. It was a terrifying 10-meter tall figure. Its entire body was covered in pitch-black dragon scales. With a roar, its killing intent covered the entire island. I surrender, don't kill me! My lords, I surrender! Don't kill me! The demon monkey at the first level of the profound void tier was like a violent monster from the abyss, overlooking the entire land. Feeling its terrifying killing intent and powerful might, everyone on the Sky Blue Island was terrified. They were completely no match for it. The sounds of surrender and begging for mercy could be heard. However, the killing didn't stop, and so did the war. They had already been given a chance to choose. They chose to die. They wouldn't kill the ordinary citizens who weren't guarding the city. However, those who participated in the defense of the city wouldn't be spared. Soon, demon monkeys charged into the entire island one by one, plundering crazily. At the same time, the main battle team of the Dragon Palace. Wan Xian sat proudly on the throne and stared ahead with an indifferent gaze. As the Dragon Palace battle team advanced, the demon monkeys, lightning prawns, and the others at the back started to scatter. Some of them landed in the cities below while others flew towards the surrounding cities. Each team had a maximum of 300 people. The mission of each team was to destroy 3 cities quickly. 3 cities. This was a plan that Prime Minister Gui and the rest had prepared in advance. They wouldn't wait for them to react. The entire One-Leaf Continent dynasty had 15 islands and cities, and it was a huge imperial city. 15 islands and cities sent out a total of 1,500 Dragon Palace warriors and 7 insightful Emptiness Realm experts to attack. Dragon King, the main city of the One-Leaf Continent dynasty, is right in front of us. There are 40 million people in the city, and their palace is in the center. When they arrived at the main island of the One-Leaf Empire, there were still 1,500 soldiers in the entire expedition team. However, these 1,500 soldiers were all elites of the Dragon Palace. The leader of the Dragon Palace and the demon hidden in the void were all around them. The royal city? Its aura is even more majestic than the current royal city of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Wang Xian looked at the huge city in front of him from afar. The city walls were 400 to 500 meters tall, and there were soldiers lined up neatly on top of the walls. Prosperous and powerful. Get ready for battle! Wang Xian's eyes sparkled as he spat out 4 words. Roar! Roar! The 9 flood dragons in front of him sensed the Dragon King's battle intent and roared at the sky in unison. As a flood dragon that could fight against a 3rd-level void interpretation realm expert, a dragon roar could be heard within a radius of 100 kilometers. What is the roar of a demonic beast? What roar? Which demonic beast or ferocious beast dares to step into our one-leaf continent's imperial city? The sudden terrifying voice did not cause the people of the one-leaf continent to panic. On the city wall of the North Gate, the soldiers and generals scanned their surroundings, their eyes filled with a cold light. There are huge creatures flying towards us. Reporting to the general, there are powerful creatures invading, get ready for battle. A bunch of suicidal things, get ready for battle. The soldiers on the city wall of the North Gate were ready for battle. They looked at the sky and could vaguely see a few huge creatures flying towards them. From the sounds of the dragons, they could guess that they were at the profound void tier. However, this was not enough to make them panic. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 middle-aged men and old men in general armor appeared on the city wall within a few seconds. They looked towards the sky above the sea in the north. Not good. The intruders are not a few fierce beasts or demon beasts, but a powerful force. Immediately report to the king that there is an enemy invasion. When they were 5,000 meters away, the expressions of the 2 generals suddenly changed. They looked at the 9 huge creatures, the battle team behind them, and the black clouds that had gathered in the sky and covered an area of 5 kilometers. Their pupils constricted slightly. They hurriedly ordered the military officers behind them. Report to the king? Yes. The military officers behind them were slightly stunned. A trace of shock appeared in their eyes, and they immediately reported to the direction of the palace. At this moment, the sun had just risen, but the approaching black clouds completely blocked out the sunlight. The true black clouds were pressing down on the city and wanted to destroy it. At this moment, in the palace of the One-Leaf Dynasty, it was time for the Morning Dynasty. A yellow-robed old man stood in front of the dragon throne, his face full of anger as he glanced at all the important officials and generals in the hall. The Sky Island Dynasty has been attacked by other forces. Elder Wang and my daughter are missing. Immediately send someone to the Sky Island Dynasty to find out their background. Immediately! The king of the One-Leaf Continent said with a gloomy face. If anything happens to my daughter, I will kill their 9 families no matter what force they are. Please calm down, Your Majesty. The 3rd princess is with Elder Wang. She will not be safe in the flowing sea area. A minister immediately bowed and said respectfully. Well, I don't think they dare to do anything to my daughter. Send someone immediately. Your Majesty, an unknown force has appeared outside the imperial city. They are not friendly. Chapter 1353. 1353 in the 1353 Kingdom War. Before King One-Leaf could finish his sentence, a servant sent an urgent message from outside. His voice resounded throughout the entire hall. The king of the One-Leaf Continent dynasty was stunned. The officials and generals in the hall were also stunned. Boom! An unknown force has invaded us. I want to see which force dares to invade my One-Leaf Continent dynasty. One-Leaf King's expression was extremely cold, and a terrifying killing intent shot out from his body. Follow me. Anyone who dares to disrespect us, kill them all. As One-Leaf King spoke, his body moved, and he disappeared from the throne. Go, anyone who dares to invade our One-Leaf Continent dynasty, die. I want to see what kind of force dares to invade us, and they don't know whether they are dead or alive. In the Great Hall, the generals flew out one by one, followed by the civil and military officials. The One-Leaf Kingdom was one of the top existences among the dozens of nearby countries. All along, no one had dared to provoke them. Now that a force had invaded them, they were simply courting death. Boom! Boom! Void interpretation experts flew toward the North Gate city wall with terrifying auras. The One-Leaf King was at the front. When he arrived at the North Gate city wall, the troops of the Dragon Palace had already arrived. Which force dares to intrude into the territory of our One-Leaf dynasty without any respect? Do you know your crime? The One-Leaf King looked at the black clouds in front of him, and more than 1,000 creatures were hovering in the sky aggressively. They were not friendly. The One-Leaf King didn't show any signs of weakness. He looked at everyone in front of him coldly. There were 9 terrifying creatures that were about 30 meters long. There was a young man sitting on a huge dragon chair. A group of demonic beasts. He narrowed his eyes slightly. Are all of you here? Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. You are the king of the One-Leaf Mainland dynasty? 2 days ago, the princess and elder one of your dynasty offended my dragon palace. They were killed. Today, my dragon palace is here to destroy you. Prime Minister Gui raised his head slightly and looked down at the king of the One-Leaf Kingdom, explaining coldly. His tone was full of judgment. What? You bastards killed my daughter? Elder Wang? Elder Wang was killed by them. 1 day ago, the Sky Island Kingdom was attacked by a mysterious force. Could it be them? As soon as Prime Minister Gui finished speaking, the expressions of the One-Leaf King and all the generals and important officials behind him instantly darkened. This was especially so for the One-Leaf King. His eyes were bloodshot as his killing intent soared into the sky. You want to destroy our One-Leaf Continent dynasty? Haha, with just you guys? Good, good. You dare to kill my daughter and an expert from our One-Leaf Continent dynasty. Today, I want to see who will destroy who. The One-Leaf dynasty's king waved his arm, and a scepter appeared in his hand. All the generals of the One-Leaf dynasty and all the experts in the imperial city, fight for me! He roared, and his voice resounded throughout the entire imperial city. It's the king's voice. Is someone invading our country? You're courting death. Let's go and kill them. The king has given the order. All the forces, go immediately. Damn it, who dares to invade us? The roar of the ferocious beast just now was actually from a faction that has invaded us. Head over to meet the enemy and kill them. In the other 3 directions, some factions and families heard the king's order. Their faces turned cold as they quickly flew towards the North Gate. The imperial city was their home. Once their home was forced, they would suffer huge losses. Moreover, the dynasty had a rule that during a war, all families and powerhouses had to participate. Otherwise, they would be killed immediately after the war. Under the circumstances where their own interests and safety were at stake, over 1 million people in the entire imperial city started to move. In a vast and mighty manner, all the martial artists who were above the level of the void interpretation realm gathered in the direction of the North Gate. Warriors of the Dragon Palace, prepare for battle! When Wang Xian saw King Ye's order, the entire imperial city started to move. More than 1 million people flew over. The dark mass of warriors exuded an icy cold aura. A cold look appeared in his eyes. The 5 elements grinding milk condensed into a kingdom, and slowly floated above his head as he shouted loudly. Roar, roar, kill! An orderly roar and an earth-shattering killing cry resounded across the sky. His powerful aura rose to its peak. King, the other party's strength isn't weak. There are quite a few profound void tier experts, and there are at least 2 4th-level profound void tier experts. We have to be careful. What happened at the Sky Island Empire caused them to be slightly wary. An old man walked to the side of One-Leaf King and said solemnly, Imperial Uncle, with you and I here, and this is still our territory, no fear. The King of One-Leaf did not lose his mind because his daughter was killed. He stared ahead coldly. Prepare the city defense equipment, he shouted softly. Yes. Crack, crack, crack. On the surrounding city walls, there were metal equipment that were more than 10 meters in size. The equipment was emitting a huge shiny arrow. Get rid of these damn things for me. Fire! King Yi roared loudly. The surrounding city defense weapons were emitting a dazzling golden glow as they attacked Wang Xian and the rest who were in the sky. These city defense weapons were released together. They were able to threaten experts at the insightful void tier. Fight! Wang Xian saw the other party's attack and shouted softly. Woo 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 woo! Just as Wang Xian finished his words, an excited sound wave came from the center of the Dragon Palace. The sound wave entered the ears of every warrior of the Dragon Palace, causing his aura to rise once again. In the sky, the black clouds that had gathered in a 5-kilometer radius suddenly moved slowly towards the imperial city of the One-Leaf Continent. Splash! Raindrops fell downwards. Some of them were emitting blue raindrops while others were pitch-black raindrops. It looked extremely strange. The sound waves and black clouds all came from the Dolphin Clan. This was the first time that the powerful support of the Dolphin Clan had been used in a war. The battle has erupted. The enemy only has more than 1,000 creatures. More than 1,000 of them want to attack our imperial city and court death. Let's go and see how those reckless creatures were killed by the king. Behind the imperial city of the One-Leaf Continent, some martial artists had just arrived at the North Gate. When they saw the more than 1,000 creatures in the sky, their eyes revealed a look of disdain. We have millions of people. Even if each of us launches an attack, the insightful void martial artists will have to resist all of us. More than 1,000 creatures dare to attack our One-Leaf Continent empire. They are courting death. In front of the North Gate, millions of people were floating in the sky. With so many people, they could not interfere at all. At first, they thought that the intruders would be very powerful. However, there were only 1,000 or so creatures, and they did not take them seriously at all. One had to know that the demon beasts and ferocious beasts that had attacked cities in the past were millions or even tens of millions. More than 1,000 creatures still wanted to attack them? You're courting death. Chapter 1354. 1354 in the 1354 Kingdom War. Whoosh! 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 Strange rain began to fall from the sky within a 5-kilometer radius. Many sharp siege weapons that were more than 10 meters long shot toward everyone in the Dragon Palace. Roar! Roar! The 9 flood dragons looked at the 4,000 to 5,000 sharp weapons with disdain in their eyes. One of the flood dragons on the left slightly flapped its not very large wings, and streams of green wind light directly wrapped around the siege weapons. Those siege weapons were instantly bound. The flood dragon's body shook once again, and huge arrows shot towards the direction of the attack. Activate the formation. All ranged attackers, cover them. One of the generals saw that the arrow was easily blocked by a flood dragon, and his expression changed slightly. He hurriedly shouted, "Wang!" An earthen yellow city protection formation was activated. A powerful formation protected the entire imperial city. Kill them! Kill them all! Within the city protection formation, the soldiers on the city walls roared loudly. Kill! Kill! Behind them, 1,000,000 people from the imperial city of the One-Leaf Continent roared loudly. The word kill rushed into the clouds and shook the surrounding 100 kilometers. Ao Qitian, break through the city! Prime Minister Gui saw countless attacks of various attributes coming at them and said indifferently to the Demon War Department behind them, Yes, roar! Ao Qitian's 15-meter large body roared loudly, and a golden ocean pacifying needle appeared in his hand. Big! With a light roar, the ocean pacifying needle in his hand became 1,000 meters long. This was the ocean pacifying needle in a level 4 Dragon Palace, and it had consumed several tons of hollow-level materials. The 1,000-meter long and 10-meter wide ocean pacifying needle instantly stood between heaven and earth. Even Ao Qitian looked tiny in front of the needle. Destroy the city! Ao Qitian held the ocean pacifying needle in his arms and smashed it toward the city wall. What? What is this thing? What kind of weapon is this? Attack! Attack! When Ao Qitian held the 1,000-meter-long ocean-pacifying needle and smashed it toward the city wall, everyone's expressions changed. Even One Leaf King and the general's expressions changed drastically. Crack! 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 The ocean pacifying needle landed, and the rank 2 defensive array shattered like glass. Get lost! A rank 3 void interpretation expert from the One Leaf continent waved his arm, and a 100-meter-long fist landed on the ocean pacifying needle. Charge! Prime Minister Gay waved his arm. Kill! Heavenly lightning destruction! Dragon scales, arrows! Heavenly sword, demon vanquishing! With an order, Aochi raised his hammer-like arm and pointed at the sky. Within the dark clouds, terrifying lightning bolts descended and attacked the city wall of the One Leaf Continent Empire. Mao Zedong pulled the bowstring to its maximum, and an arrow covered in dragon scales shot forward. The arrow came to the city wall and exploded into sharp dragon scales. Ao Jian held a golden longsword in his hand, and a 2,000-meter-long sword appeared out of thin air and charged forward. Behind him, demon monkeys, thunder prawns, golden swords, and fish charged forward. All the members of the Heavenly Eye Arrow Division floated in the sky, and their bows and arrows were aimed at the enemy. All the insightful Emptiness Realm experts, kill them all for me! The One Leaf King's expression changed slightly when he saw the terrifying attacks unleashed by the members of the Dragon Palace one by one. He roared and immediately ordered. Kill! The city defense array had been broken, and the real battle was about to begin. On the city wall, the insightful Emptiness Realm experts of the One Leaf Continent dynasty directly attacked the leaders of the Dragon Palace. The old man next to the One Leaf King fixed his gaze on Mao Zedong. He could sense a force of the same level from his body. The One Leaf King did not move either. He stared at Wang Xian coldly. Tell me your name. I will kill you later. He stared at Wang Xian coldly. His eyes were filled with endless coldness. Hee! When Wang Xian saw the King of One Leaf staring at him coldly, a look of contempt appeared on his face. He stood up slowly and looked at the King of One Leaf. He said faintly, You are not qualified. You are not qualified. Wang Xian was not prepared to make a move in today's battle. In fact, he did not even need to make a move. Arrogant, arrogant fellow! When the One Leaf King heard Wang Xian's words, his face turned extremely gloomy. They said that he was not qualified? How dare they say that he was not qualified? He was the king of a country. Among the surrounding dynasties, he was the strongest. Now, he was completely ignored. Be careful of the rain in the sky and that voice. Be careful. His strength is not at level 1 of the see-through realm. He is at level 2 of the see-through realm. What a terrifying defense. Their strength is above the 9th level of the extraordinary realm. Those who are not strong enough will switch to long-range attacks. Do not engage in close combat. Oh my God, a person beside him was killed for no reason. There are killers, there are killers! At this moment, screams suddenly came from the front of the city wall. Panic. The war had already broken out, but in less than a minute, panicked roars came from the One Leaf Continent dynasty. Over 10,000 soldiers rushed out of the city walls to meet the members of the Dragon Palace. In an instant of collision, a profound void martial artist versus a profound void martial artist. Transcendence versus transcendence. However, when one by one, a profound void martial artist went up against a profound void martial artist of the Dragon Palace, they were caught off guard and were almost instantly killed. Several profound void martial artists instantly joined forces to fight against one. And those transcendent realm warriors were even more miserable. More than 1,000 warriors of the Dragon Palace, with the lowest combat strength being at the 9th rank of the transcendent realm, collided in an instant. Tens of thousands of soldiers, 10 of them besieging one, also instantly killed several thousand people. What made them even more terrified was that the black raindrops in the sky fell on their bodies and actually corroded their spiritual chi. Some of the weaker ones even died directly under the black rain. There were also those special sound wave attacks that disturbed their minds. Surround and attack! 1,000 Leaves battle team, charge! All the experts of the families in the city, Charge out and kill the enemy! Seeing that the soldiers and generals who charged out had instantly suffered a great loss, the One-Leaf King's expression changed slightly as he ordered in a low voice. Boom, boom, boom! Behind them, battle teams riding on fierce beasts and demon beasts charged out to meet the experts of the Dragon Palace. The eyes of some experts of families and powerful mercenary groups in the imperial city of the One-Leaf Continent flickered when they heard the king's order. Charge! The enemy only has more than 1,000 people. No matter how strong they are, we can kill them with numbers. Kill! One person and one attack can kill them all. The powerful battle teams of the One-Leaf Continent rushed out, and the powerful families in the imperial city also rushed out. In an instant, a few more insightful void martial artists and more than 100,000 martial artists joined the battle. The total number of people was tens of times, or even tens of times, or even hundreds of times more. 9 flood dragons, attack! Ao Yao, let's move! Wan Xian saw more than 100,000 people rushing out directly, and said directly with a calm expression. Chapter 1355. 1355 laughed as they watched the dynasty fall. Roar! On the battlefield at the North Gate, on average, hundreds of soldiers from the One-Leaf Continent dynasty surrounded and attacked a member of the Dragon Palace. 2 or 3 void interpretation experts surrounded and attacked Ao Qitian, 8 Qi, Ao Qi, Ao Xia, and a few newly advanced void interpretation experts. In terms of numbers, the Continent dynasty completely crushed them in one night. However, when the roars of the 9 flood dragons sounded on the battlefield and the strange demons that had been hiding in the surroundings started to move, everything started to change. Roar! Roar! Whoosh! 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 The 9 flood dragons flapped their wings, and their bodies emitted a green light. Their bodies moved, bringing along countless wind blades as they attacked the insightful void martial artists, one after another. The 9 enormous figures, and any nearby humans, were all directly crushed by the sharp wind blades. In the chaotic battlefield, an expert from the First Leaf Continent dynasty of the second rank of the insightful void martial artists faced off against a flood dragon. In an instant, when they collided, his eyes were filled with fear. Terrifying strength, powerful wind attribute attacks. His body flew far away, his eyes filled with fear. Be careful, these 9 creatures have the terrifying strength of the 3rd rank of the void interpretation realm, be careful! He hurriedly roared. What? When everyone from the One-Leaf Continent heard this, their expressions changed instantly. All of them are 3rd level void interpretation? There are only 9 3rd level void interpretation in our entire country. Moreover, the other party doesn't only have 9 3rd level void interpretation experts. In addition, the berserk devil monkey, the terrifying lightning creature, the middle-aged man holding the golden long sword, and that sinister 8-headed creature are all 3rd level void interpretation. Don't be afraid, our king hasn't made his move yet. Kill, kill, kill! We're all covered in black clouds, and that raindrop actually carries poison. That sound wave can increase the opponent's strength and disrupt our minds. Those arrows all contain powerful poisons, and anyone who touches them will die. Don't be afraid, we have dozens of times more people than them. Hundreds of thousands of people in front of the One-Leaf dynasty shouted. 9 flood dragons joined the battle, which greatly reduced the pressure on Ao Qitian and the other members of the Dragon Palace. The people of the Heavenly Eye Arrow Division stood at the back and shot arrows toward the overwhelming attacks. What frightened all the warriors of the One-Leaf dynasty was that the arrows carried a terrifying toxin. The poison splashed onto their bodies, and the powerful poison killed them instantly. Only those above the Type 8 realm could withstand the poison. Other than the poison, the rain of poison in the sky, as well as the terrifying sound waves, had greatly reduced their attacks. On the other hand, after receiving the attack, the blue raindrops fell on their bodies, speeding up the recovery of their injuries. There were even streams of water flowing towards them, healing their injuries. Go and kill those archers and dolphins in front of us. We can't let them support an attack from the back. An expert at the profound void tier sensed that the attack he released was less than 90% of its peak, and his expression was extremely unsightly. He roared loudly and pointed in the direction of the Heaven's Eye clan and dolphins, shouting loudly, "Go, go, block the other creatures! Our Sky Wolf battle team will charge forward!" 100-man battle team riding on a water-blue wolf-shaped creature charged forward. Their strength was at least at the 8th rank of the extraordinary realm. Together with the powerful beast mounts they were riding, one of them could fight against 2 or 3 of the same level. Kiki! Around the hundreds of dolphins, each of them was entrenched in the air. Colorful venomous snakes saw someone charging towards them. Their ice-cold eyes were filled with mockery. "Kill them!" The 100 members of the serious battle team glanced at Wang Xian warily before charging towards the group of dolphins and the Heaven's Eye clan. Wang Xian looked at them with a cold expression. He didn't move. The members of the Heaven's Eye Arrow clan didn't even spare them a glance. When they were within a 500-meter radius, streams of poisonous substances instantly charged towards them. The terrifying poison started to boil in the air, as if it was going to corrode the space. Be careful of the poison! Oh no, we can't block it! We can't block it at all! Retreat, retreat! In an instant, terrified voices came from the serious battle team. The cold eyes of the poisonous snakes were filled with disdain. As the auxiliary and long-range attackers of the Dragon Palace, they naturally wanted the enemy to come and kill them. They had long prepared the surrounding toxins. These toxins would kill even those at the first level of the Profound Void tier. Only those at the second level of the Profound Void tier could charge over. However, the experts of the Dragon Palace blocked all the enemies at the second level of the Profound Void tier. The battle entered a short-term stalemate when more than 100,000 people of the One-Leaf Continent dynasty charged over. The experts at the 9th level of the Extraordinary Realm were powerful, but they could not kill hundreds of experts at the 8th level and 7th level of the Extraordinary Realm in an instant. "Continue, those at the back, continue charging forward!" One Leaf King looked at the entire battlefield. Generals versus generals, soldiers versus soldiers, their strength was temporarily tied. His eyes flashed with a cold expression as he stood there and shouted once again. "It's the king! Charge! Kill them!" In the Imperial City, there were at least 800,000 to 900,000 people who did not make a move. Although their strength was not as strong as those who charged out, their numbers were huge. A quantitative change could produce a qualitative change. 30 level 7 transcendents might not be able to defeat one level 8 transcendent, but it was hard to say if there were 50 or 60 of them. "They are not our match. Let's kill these bastards!" Once again, more than 100,000 people flew out of the city, their cold gazes locked onto the members of the Dragon Palace. All. However, at this moment, screams of terror suddenly came from the battlefield. Among the screams, there were 3 experts at the Insightful Void Realm. The rest were all half-step Insightful Void Realm experts and rank 9 transcendents. In an instant, it was as if the half-step Insightful Void Realm experts and rank 9 transcendents on the battlefield had been cleaned up. The sudden death and screams caused everyone to be somewhat stunned. Especially the members of the One-Leaf Continent Imperial City below the Void Interpretation stage. Their leader, their captain, had suddenly died. Many people only saw a ray of light and realized that their captain was already dead. After their captain, sergeant, and their commander were killed, the entire team was thrown into chaos. Operation Beheading Hands began. The strange demon moved. Roar, roar, roar! When their captain and sergeant were killed, the roar of the demon monkey, the roar of thunder, and the sound of metal swords covered the entire battlefield. All. In just a few seconds, at least 10,000 people were killed. The One-Leaf Dynasty was at a disadvantage, and as time passed, more and more people were killed. "Be careful, there are assassins, assassins!" A rank 9 transcendent expert shouted in fear, his face filled with panic. How terrifying would assassins be in battle? During battle, they did not have time to guard their surroundings. If they were targeted, 90% of them would die. What made them even more afraid was where were those assassins hiding? Not good! Not good! In the sky, at the Dimension Sundering Realm battlefield, the expressions of all the Dimension Sundering Realm experts of the One Leaf continent changed slightly. Facing the experts of the Dragon Palace, they had already felt immense pressure. Now that 3 more Dimension Sundering Realm experts had died, what was going to happen next? Danger! We have to kill him or else. When the One Leaf King saw this scene, his expression changed drastically. His expression slowly became ferocious as he stared at that young man. That fellow who said that he wasn't qualified could only obtain victory by killing him. He wanted this fellow to know whether he was qualified or not. Chapter 1356 1356 watched as the dynasty was destroyed. Prepare to die! At the north gate of the imperial city of One Leaf, a bitter war broke out. Hundreds of thousands of people besieged more than 1,000 people, but they were completely crushed. This made One Leaf King's eyes almost pop out of their sockets. Looking at this scene, he let out a roar, and his body surged with seawater. Above his head, a raging wave that covered an area of about 2 kilometers slowly gathered. He raised the water-blue staff in his hand with an angry expression. The staff was about 2 meters in size and looked extremely heavy. On the staff, 3 water spirit pearls were embedded in it. Damn thing, I will tell you that invading our One Leaf Kingdom is your stupidest decision. Today, I will kill you and bury you in the sea. The One Leaf King held his staff with both hands and stared at Wang Xian coldly. The two of them faced each other from afar. The staff in his hand was connected to the huge waves above his head. The king is about to make his move. Furthermore, His Majesty's strongest attack is the wave forward thrust. Even with hundreds of thousands of us, we are not his opponent. If the king does not make his move, he will lose. How can his opponent's strength be so terrifying? All of them have the strength of at least rank 9 transcendence, as well as that terrifying assassin. However, if the king makes a move, he will definitely be able to turn the tide. That's only natural. His Majesty is one of the strongest experts within 1,000 kilometers. He isn't someone a young man can deal with. When the One Leaf King's cold voice rang out and the Dharma idol in the sky condensed, the eyes of the citizens in the imperial city of the One Leaf continent behind him flickered as they stared at him. They were somewhat shocked by the strength of these 1,000-plus creatures. Seeing the generals of the dynasty being killed and the soldiers being crushed, each and every one of them had an extremely unsightly expression. However, it was fortunate that His Majesty the King was still there. Everyone in the imperial city knew of King One Leaf's strength. He was the most powerful existence among the surrounding dozen or so countries. If the king makes a move, he will definitely be able to turn the tide. All the citizens at the back were filled with absolute confidence. They clenched their fists and stared at him. Dharma idol, wave front thorn, prepare to die, you little thief! The king of One Leaf slowly floated in the air. The waves that covered a radius of 2 kilometers above his head slowly condensed into a long spear. It was a long spear that was at least 1,000 to 2,000 meters long. He raised his staff with both hands and a terrifying water energy burst out from his body. He shouted loudly, "Charge!" With a loud shout, the terrifying water energy spear shot towards Wang Xian like a huge siege weapon. Die! The One Leaf King's expression was extremely ferocious. His eyes were filled with ferocity. Behind him, nearly 1,000,000 people were staring at the attack of His Majesty. There were also many people on the battlefield looking over. If the king could defeat the leader of this force, then they would have won this war. Everyone firmly believed that their One Leaf King would definitely win. Their One Leaf King was invincible. I've said it, you don't have the right to make me attack. Since you want to die, then die. The king's hand looked at the terrifying Dharma idol in the sky that was attacking him. His expression was still incomparably calm. Looking at the One Leaf King, his expression was filled with disdain. Just as he finished his sentence, the One Leaf King who was floating in the sky trembled. Following that, under everyone's shock, they saw their king, The head of the king, who was invincible in their hearts, flew straight into the sky. His eyes were wide open and filled with disbelief. There were no signs at all. No one could see who was the one who attacked. The spear attack from the Dharma idol arrived 2 meters in front of Wang Xian. The terrifying piercing light dissipated instantly. The corpse fell towards the city wall. Everyone was stunned. What was going on? The king was killed before the king's attack even arrived? Stunned and shocked. Boom! No, how is this possible? The king. His Majesty the king. Who killed him? What's going on? What's going on? Why did His Majesty the king suddenly die? Assassin, it was the assassin who attacked just now. Oh my God, the king actually died. After a short period of silence, the millions of people behind exploded with incomparable fear. Under the illumination of the sun, their king's head flew up directly, and that terrifying impact force went straight into their hearts. Everyone's bodies trembled, and they all roared in shock. What? Your Majesty. Your Majesty. In the sky, a void interpretation expert from the One-Leaf Continent dynasty felt their king's death, and his body trembled. Instant kill? Their king was a peak void interpretation Tier 4 expert, yet he was killed in an instant. Just how terrifying was the assassin hidden in the void? Furthermore, there was also that young man standing in front of the dragon throne, the leader of this group of forces. The morale of the army was in chaos. When the team leaders and sergeants were assassinated just now, the morale of the army had already been shaken. Now, the morale of the army was in chaos. Take this. At this moment, a violent sound rang out in the sky. Bang! The sound of a terrifying collision was heard. Ao Qitian held the sea-pacifying needle in his hand, and the 100-meter-long metal rod directly smashed into the body of an elder at the 3rd level of the insightful void tier. The violent impact force caused the elder at the 3rd level of the insightful void tier to fall directly toward the city wall. Boom! With a loud sound, the old man's body was completely smashed into the city wall. Kill! A violent roar came from Ao Qitian's mouth. His figure moved and he rushed to the front of Ao Qi, joining hands to fight against another expert at the 3rd rank of the Profound Void tier. The death of the king and the death of the 3rd rank of the Profound Void tier expert were the prelude to the destruction of the One-Leaf Continent's dynasty. At this moment, the 2nd round of assassinations of the strange demons had begun. With more than 200 strange demons assassinating them, more than half of the top-tier combat strength on the battlefield would be lost. It's over, our One-Leaf Continent empire is over. Seeing this scene, the millions of people behind them had terrified and desperate expressions on their faces. Oh! On the battlefield, Ao Yao began to move. As a fully formed thorn dragon species, his strength could kill a person 2 levels above him. As a 3rd-level void interpretation, he could assassinate a 5th-level void interpretation. Currently, in the Dragon Palace, Ao Yao's strength was only second to Wang Xian. After Ao Yao made his move, there was no need for Wang Xian to make a move on the entire battlefield. One by one, experts at the void interpretation level died. One by one, experts from the One-Leaf Continent Empire died under the hands of the Dragon Palace. The terrifying roar of the demon monkey, the violent thunder and lightning of the thunder shrimp, the piercing of sharp swords, and the deadly arrows. The members of the Dragon Palace were like a powerful army that had never been defeated in 100 battles. They charged forward fiercely. Close combat, long-range attacks, support, poison. The army and experts of the One-Leaf Mainland dynasty fell rapidly. Panic spread to the entire imperial city. Wang Xian stood quietly in front of the Dragon Palace. He smiled as he looked at his subordinates who were killing in all directions in an awe-inspiring manner. Smiling as he looked at his enemies who were filled with fear and despair. Smiling as he looked at the destruction of the dynasty. Smiling as he looked at the rise of the storm. Chapter 1357. 1357 obtained a huge harvest. Surrender, we surrender, don't kill us! I surrender! I'm willing to surrender, don't kill me! Screams of terror resounded in the sky of the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. When the last insightful void martial artist of the dynasty died, everyone in the dynasty revealed expressions of despair. Roar, roar, roar! The members of the Dragon Palace stopped killing and stopped attacking. They let out a roar of victory. The sound covered the entire imperial city of the One-Leaf Continent. Enter the city! Prime Minister Gui revealed a smile when he saw this scene. He moved and came to Wang Xian's side. Yes! The group of members of the Dragon Palace came to Wang Xian's back in unison. None of them seem to have died? At this moment, the soldiers of the One-Leaf Mainland dynasty who were injured noticed a problem with a horrified expression. That was, none of the forces that defeated their enemies and killed all the powerhouses of their dynasty had died. Even those creatures below the insightful void tier didn't die. Their corpses were all around them. This discovery made everyone from the One-Leaf Continent dynasty widen their eyes. Their eyes were filled with fear. After destroying them, the other party didn't even expend a single soldier? Just thinking about it made them feel a little terrified. Those who submit, kneel! Wang Xian sat upright on the dragon throne. His gaze swept across the empire that had been conquered. Prime Minister Gui stood at the side. He looked down coldly at the citizens of the defeated empire. His majestic voice covered the entire imperial city. Those who submit, kneel. These 5 words resounded in everyone's mind. On the battlefield, the expressions of everyone from the One-Leaf dynasty changed drastically. Those who do not submit die. From the back, Ao Qitian saw the hesitant expressions of the people from the One-Leaf dynasty. He did not hesitate at all. The ocean pacifying needle in his hand turned into a few hundred meters wide and shot downwards. Ao Qitian's blow had killed at least 4,000 to 5,000 people. He suppressed everyone below with a ferocious expression. He would not show any mercy to his enemies. In this kind of war, there was no right or wrong, no justice or evil. The victor was the king. The weak were ants. Plop! Plop! With a swing of the club, everyone from the One-Leaf dynasty immediately knelt on the ground in fear. After witnessing how terrifying Ao Qitian was, the pride in their hearts vanished. Now they were captives, and they were losers. Oh my God, we've lost! We've lost! They are so terrifying, so terrifying. Kneel down, quickly kneel down, or they will really kill us. In the city, the people of the One-Leaf dynasty were all kneeling on the ground in fear when they saw Ao Qitian kill 4,000 to 5,000 people in one move. Roar! The 9 flood dragons roared and landed on the ground. The members of the Dragon Palace also landed on the ground. Around them, the hundreds of thousands of people who had not been killed kneeled on the ground and retreated. Open the city gate, quick, open the city gate! Some of the soldiers kneeling on the city wall saw this scene and immediately shouted in fear. Crack! 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 Soon after, the huge city gate slowly opened. On both sides of the city gate, the soldiers knelt there, not daring to move at all. During the war just now, they had witnessed the horror and brutality of the Dragon Palace. Now, how would they dare to resist? The king was dead, and the strong were dead. Their fate was already in the hands of the other party. If the other party wanted them to live, they would live. If they were to die, they would die. There was no room for resistance at all. Roar, roar! The 9 flood dragons looked at the wide-open city gates with satisfaction. They walked arrogantly and pulled the dragon throne towards the imperial city. Wang Xian sat on the dragon chairs without any fluctuation. Upon entering the city gates, both sides were filled with the citizens of the One-Leaf Continent who were kneeling on the ground. Sensing the violent aura coming from the 9 flood dragons, Demon Monkey, and the rest, all of them trembled in fear. The 9 flood dragons continued to move forward. The citizens of the One-Leaf Continent's imperial city in the distance hurriedly knelt on the ground in fear when they saw them enter. Tens of millions of people knelt on the ground in rows. At this moment, Wang Xian was like their king. When he arrived at the Dragon Palace of the imperial city, and swept his gaze across the magnificent Dragon Palace. A smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. Next, it's time to reap the rewards. He swept his gaze across everyone in the Dragon Palace indifferently. I'm very satisfied with this battle. Thank you, Dragon King, for your praise. The members of the Dragon Palace replied in a hurry with happy faces. Go and take back the spoils of war that belong to us. Wang Xian waved his hand and ordered the members of the Dragon Palace. All combat divisions head to the Imperial City separately and bring all the treasures in everyone's household over. Those who resist will be killed without mercy. Prime Minister Gui ordered all the members of the Dragon Palace. Yes. In an instant, all the members of the Dragon Palace moved. Since they had taken down this dynasty, it was for the resources of the entire Imperial City, and the resources of the entire dynasty. Regardless of whether the people of the Imperial City agreed or not, they had no choice. If the Dragon Palace did not have absolute strength, the Sky Island dynasty and the One Leaf Continent dynasty might join forces to occupy the deep sea spiritual spring. As for the Dragon Palace, if they resisted, they would be waiting for their demise. At this moment, it was not just the Imperial City of the One Leaf Mainland dynasty. In the entire dynasty and all the cities, the figures of the members of the Dragon Palace were wreaking havoc. All the treasures belonged to the Dragon Palace. TSK, this One Leaf Mainland dynasty is indeed the best dynasty in the surrounding domain. There are so many items in the Imperial Treasury. Wang Xian came to the treasury and scanned his surroundings. His eyes lit up slightly. As a dynasty that was 5,000 to 6,000 years old, there were simply too many treasures in it. There were hundreds of tons of void interpretation level materials alone. What kind of concept was this? If it was given to a powerful artifact master, he could forge thousands of void interpretation weapons. However, artifact masters were rare. Other than the various materials, there were also many precious items. Formations, strange weapons, various remnant secret arts, and even the training maps of some special battle teams. These items are all very valuable. I have to think of a way to sell them and exchange them for resources that can be used by the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. He picked up a few earth and water spirit pearls and handed them to the 5 elements millstone to devour. Dragon King, news from the other cities of the One Leaf Continent dynasty has been received. All of them have succeeded. Dragon King, all the treasures in the Imperial City have been searched into the interspatial ring. One by one, the information was sent over. One by one, the interspatial rings filled with treasures were sent over. Wang Xian revealed a satisfied expression on his face. The value of these treasures was definitely worth tens of trillions of middle-grade spirit stones. After that, the Dragon Palace would be able to receive a considerable upgrade. In fact, if someone offended the Dragon Palace and destroyed a few more factions, he would be able to gather all the resources he needed to level up. Chapter 1358. 1358 Lord Wang 1358 had arrived. Let's go, back to the palace! A majestic voice resounded in the sky. 9 dragons swayed their huge bodies as they flew into the sky. Roar, roar! With a roar, they increased their speed and flew into the sky. Below, all the citizens of the One Leaf Continent dynasty looked at the 1,000-something creatures flying into the sky with ugly expressions. Their eyes were filled with helplessness. In less than half a day, all the valuable items in the Imperial City had been taken away. All the treasures in the families had been taken out. Boom! 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 As the people of the Dragon Palace flew, the members of the Dragon Palace who had gone to other cities flew back and followed behind them toward the Dragon Palace. The flames of war covered the entire dynasty. With the return of the members of the Dragon Palace, the One Leaf Continent dynasty would enter a new era. Perhaps it could be rebuilt, or perhaps it would disappear completely in the future. Xiao Xian, how is it? Upon returning to the Dragon Palace, Guan Shuqing and the other girls came up to welcome him. Returning with a full load. Wang Xian nodded his head faintly and said with a smile, He waved his arm and threw the interspatial ring in his hand to Prime Minister Gui, who was beside him. Prime Minister Gui, you handle all the resources. First, increase the strength of the members of the Dragon Palace. Then, clean up the surroundings and see if you can recruit new members. Wang Xian instructed him. There were still too few members of the Dragon Palace at the moment. More than 3,000 subordinates were considered a small number even for a low-level dynasty. If it was not for the fact that the top-tier combat strength of the One-Leaf Continent dynasty was relatively strong, the Dragon Palace might not be able to win in a real battle. The hundreds of thousands of people could defeat the Dragon Palace with a huge number. After obtaining the resources of the entire dynasty, all the members of the Dragon Palace were at least at the half-step void interpretation realm. There would be more than 10 or 20 void interpretation experts. However, it would be difficult for the group of leaders to get another upgrade. It's the Dragon King! Prime Minister Gui nodded respectfully and left immediately. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the Dragon Palace, which covered an area of 150 kilometers. Finally, he landed on a few girls and chuckled. He had left for a year and had yet to have a good time with them after he returned. His body moved and, amidst the exclamations of the girls, he flew straight into the bedroom. Xiao Yu, who was at the side, rolled her eyes. Zhang Fengying was stunned and shook her head slowly. In the next few days, Wang Xian lived a happy and unrestrained life. Prime Minister Gui would take care of the matters in the Dragon Palace. He could just accompany a few girls on the collapse every day. They lived a carefree life. Under the huge amount of resources, the cultivation of the few girls was directly elevated to the second level of the Profound Void stage. Dragon King, this is our herb garden. There are more than 50,000 spiritual herbs in there. The highest level is the Transcendent Level 9 spiritual herb. Bachi brought Aochitian and the rest to the surroundings to subdue some demonic beast races. The area of 150 kilometers of our Dragon Palace's territory is currently not used in many places. After resting for 3 to 4 days, Wang Xian and Prime Minister Gui toured the entire Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Gui introduced them to him one by one. Yes. Wang Xian nodded slowly. The area of 150 kilometers was very, very large. On the other hand, the Dragon Palace only had over 3,000 creatures. Compared to this space, it was simply too little. Brother! At this moment, Xiao Yu flew over from the Dragon King's palace and shouted at him. Eh? What's wrong? Xiao Yu! Wang Xian looked over and asked with a smile. Brother Ling Tian, is Sister Feng Wan in trouble? Xiao Yu flew to his side and said to him with a frown. In trouble? What happened? Wang Xian immediately asked. Ling Tian's communication stone plate told me that the Dragon and Phoenix Empire is currently at war with the Star Moon Empire and a few other empires. The armies of the other empires are rushing over. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire is currently in a crisis. Sister Fengwan asked Ling Tian to return to the Dragon Palace. She will not allow him to participate in the following battles. I think Sister Fengwan will not allow Ling Tian to return unless it is a crisis. Xiao Yu said to Wang Xian worriedly. During the period when Wang Xian had just left, Feng Wan had basically stayed in the Dragon Palace to cultivate. As time passed, the group of girls became more familiar with each other. After the Dragon Palace discovered the deep-sea spiritual spring, the Dragon Phoenix Empire had also attracted a large number of citizens. Therefore, the chances of them meeting each other were limited. I'll go over and take a look. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and flew out directly. Ao Jian led a golden swordfish behind him immediately. As the Dragon King's guards, they had to follow the Dragon King at all times. He actually sent Feng Lingtian back to the Dragon Palace. It seems that the situation is extremely critical. Wang Xian flew quickly in the ocean. Due to the migration of the Dragon Palace, it would take at least 20 minutes to travel to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Whoosh! When he arrived at the seaside, Wang Xian flew straight towards the Dragon and Phoenix City. Who is that in front of me? Stop right there. A cold voice was heard. Beams of sharp light pierced straight into the sky. Huh! Wang Xian was slightly stunned as he looked towards the city wall. At this moment, rows of soldiers were scattered on the city wall. They were dressed in armor and emitted a murderous aura. When he saw Wang Xian, Ao Jian and the other two, he shouted coldly. It seems that many people in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire don't recognize themselves after a year. That's right. The population of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire is more than 10 million now. It's 7 to 8 times more than before. Many new people won't recognize themselves. Wang Xian thought to himself. He stopped in the air and swept his gaze across the surroundings. He shouted indifferently, "I'm Wang Xian." Wang Xian? On the city wall, an old man's eyes revealed a look of surprise. However, he followed up with a cold gaze as he stared ahead. No matter who you are, the Dragon Phoenix Royal City has been sealed off. Wang Xian, it's Lord Wang. It's Lord Wang. Before the old man could finish his sentence, a young man's excited voice could be heard from the surroundings. Eh? The old man was slightly shocked as he looked at the captain. Lord Gu, it's Lord Wang, a friend of Her Majesty the Queen. I didn't expect Lord Wang to come. The young captain looked at the old man and said hurriedly. Lord Wang, I didn't expect Lord Wang to come. Is he here to help our Dragon Phoenix Empire? He must be. This city was conquered by Lord Wang to Her Majesty the Queen back then. Furthermore, Lord Wang was the one who sent people here to help tide over the crisis. That's great. I didn't expect Lord Wang to be here at this time. On the city wall, dozens of soldiers from the past looked excited when they saw Wang Xian. They still remembered that when this place was still a town, they encountered a terrifying crisis. Lord Wang guarded the city by himself. He had saved their lives. They still remembered that when the Star Moon Dynasty had attacked them, it was Lord Wang who had led the powerful Heaven's Eye demon beasts to once again save the entire Dragon Phoenix dynasty. This time, he had definitely come to help them. Chapter 1359. 1359 charged forward. A friend of Her Majesty the Queen? When the old man heard the voices of the soldiers around him, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. Since this Lord Wang is a friend of Her Majesty the Queen, please come in. I will bring you to the royal palace in front of you. He looked at Wang Xian in the sky and said in a deep voice. All right. It has been a year since I last came. The changes in the royal city have been huge. Wang Xian nodded his head lightly. His body moved and he flew directly to the city wall. Sir Wang, please! The elder gestured and led Wang Xian into the imperial palace. Sir Wang is here. We will definitely be able to get through this difficult period. Of course. I don't know why Sir Wang didn't bring his subordinates here this time. Lord Wang contributed a lot to our Dragon Phoenix dynasty in the beginning. On the city wall, some residents of Saint Sea Town looked at him with admiration and respect. Is he really as powerful as you say? Isn't he just a young man? And he looks like an ordinary young master. It will be difficult for him to help us this time. That's right. I've heard of this Lord Wang before, but his strength shouldn't be at the profound void realm, right? What can he use to help us? That's right. This time, the despicable Star Moon Dynasty allied with 2 dynasties to besiege us. What can that Lord Wang use to help us? Some of the soldiers who came later heard their conversation and frowned as they spoke from the side. We believe in Lord Wang. He will definitely be able to help us, help Her Majesty the Queen. You are all blind. What kind of enemy did you face a year ago? Our Dragon Phoenix dynasty has developed so quickly. A year later, we are facing 3 other dynasties. It is not some fierce beasts and a few insightful emptiness realm experts. It is very likely that there are 20 to 30 of them. The soldiers in the past firmly believed it. However, the soldiers who came later shook their heads in disapproval. This caused the expressions of the soldiers from Shanghai Town to turn slightly ugly. At the same time, they also understood that this was only their best fantasy. The current Dragon Phoenix Empire was no longer the former Dragon Phoenix Empire. And the enemies now were no longer the same as before. Follow me! The old man gestured to Wang Xian at the entrance of the palace that occupied a radius of 10 kilometers. After going through strict checks, they arrived in front of a palace. Her Majesty the Queen is discussing something with a group of generals. Please wait outside. When they arrived in front of the palace, a woman stopped them outside. Report this. Just say that Wang Xian is outside. Your queen will let me in, Wang Xian said directly to the woman. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire was already on the right track. They could not enter just because they wanted to. Everything had to be reported. Of course, this was when they did not know about the relationship between Wang Xian and Feng Luan. Wang Xian? Sir Wang? The woman seemed to have gained some understanding. She was slightly surprised. She nodded quickly and walked into the main hall. Wang Xian, I didn't expect you to come back after disappearing for a year. A voice came directly from inside. Feng Luan, who was dressed in a luxurious fiery red robe with golden threads, walked out from inside. She wore a veil on her face and the fiery red robe on her body was embroidered with the image of a phoenix. She looked like a queen who was the mother of the world. The temperament of the former empress was fully displayed. When Wang Xian saw Feng Luan's attire, he was slightly stunned. Her fair neck, long eyelashes, clear eyes, and her beautiful body that was covered under the phoenix robe. Her slightly furrowed brows made one's heart ache. Your Majesty, I didn't expect you to become more and more beautiful after a year. Wang Xian went up to her with a smile on his face. Your mouth is still the same. Come in. How's the situation in your dragon palace? Have you settled the matters at the deep-sea spiritual spring? Feng Luan asked Wang Xian with a smile. I'm here. Naturally, I can settle it. Wang Xian smiled. Meanwhile, the old lady and the old man at the back were completely stunned. They actually saw Her Majesty the Queen, who was cold and arrogant as if she had transcended the mortal world, smiling so happily. They even joked with that young man. Oh my God, this was still Their Majesty the Queen? Was it fake? While they were shocked, they also realized the relationship between this Lord Wang and their queen. In a year's time, I didn't expect the Dragon Phoenix dynasty to develop so quickly. Wang Xian followed Feng Luan into the grand hall. The entire main hall was in the color of a fire dragon. It was different from the other palaces. The stone pillars around the main hall were engraved with flying fire phoenixes. The entire main hall was majestic and had a hint of a woman's beauty. I'm quite satisfied with the current development. Feng Luan smiled and looked around indifferently. At this moment, there were more than 30 people standing on both sides of the main hall. Some of them were generals and some were civil officials. Under Wang Xian's perception, those generals were all at the insightful emptiness realm. There were a total of 15 insightful emptiness realm experts. Other than these people, there were more than 10 people sitting at the front. Their attire was completely different from that of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Each of them had a hint of arrogance on their faces. Clearly, they were not from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. When everyone in the hall saw Wang Xian, most of them had a look of astonishment in their eyes. They looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. A young man actually allowed their cold and arrogant queen to welcome him personally. Moreover, the queen, who was frowning coldly just now, was clearly in a much better mood at this moment. This could not help but cause some people in the main hall to be puzzled. This was the queen's man? Wang Xian, sit at the side first and wait for me to settle some urgent matters. Feng Luan gestured to a seat beside the throne and said to him. Wang Xian nodded his head lightly and sat down. Ao Jian and another golden swordfish stood on the left and right. Queen of Dragons and Phoenixes, don't delay any further. With your conditions, it's impossible for our Dongyuan dynasty to send troops to assist you. Wang Xian had just sat down when he heard a dozen or so people in the middle of the room, who were sitting on chairs, speaking faintly. There were a dozen people and 5 old men. The rest of them were middle-aged men. The middle-aged man in the middle had a beard on his mouth, and was dressed in luxurious plush clothes. His body was filled with a noble aura. He looked at Feng Luan and spoke faintly. Feng Yuan frowned again when she heard their words. Her eyes flickered. These conditions of mine can bring about a strong increase in your Dongyuan dynasty in the next few years. If you don't agree, what do you want? Dragon and Phoenix Queen, you also know that it will be in the next few years. Who knows if there will be any accidents in the next few years? The noble middle-aged man who was sitting in the middle slowly stood up, and a gentle smile appeared on his face. It's very easy to get our Dongyuan dynasty to send out troops. The two countries will have a marriage alliance, and our Dongyuan king will fall in love with Queen Dragon and Phoenix at first sight. If the two countries have a marriage alliance, then the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty's matter will be our Dongyuan dynasty's matter. Chapter 1360. 1360 killed him. What? What? A marriage alliance between the two countries? Nonsense! As soon as the middle-aged man finished his sentence, a group of civil officials and generals in the back of the main hall revealed furious expressions. They shouted softly and glared angrily at the people of the Dongyuan dynasty. Especially Yan Wenshan, Mang Hong, Yu Qingzi, and Jin Qianyuan. They wanted their queen to marry the Dongyuan dynasty. Their intentions were despicable. Wang Xian had just sat on the chair when he heard the middle-aged man's words. He narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the middle-aged man indifferently. This condition of your Dongyuan dynasty is really interesting. When Feng Yuan heard the middle-aged man's words, a hint of coldness flashed across her eyes. She took a deep breath and said faintly, Our Dragon and Phoenix dynasty has already shown our sincerity. Please show your sincerity too, she continued to say expressionlessly. Dragon Phoenix Queen, we are not joking, but our Dongyuan king also knows that if the queen does not agree, we cannot force it. Other than this condition, there is another condition. We want the Flourishing Era Fire Lotus and the Flourishing Era Fire Lotus formation. In addition, the Dragon Phoenix Empire will become a vassal state of our Dongyuan Empire. As the middle-aged man spoke, his eyes flashed with fervor. Flourishing Era Fire Lotus. Vassal state. After Feng Yuan heard their second condition, her expression turned completely cold. That's right, it's these two conditions. As long as you agree to one of these two conditions, our Dongyuan dynasty will send troops to protect your Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Otherwise, with the strength of the Star Moon dynasty and the other two dynasties, your Dragon Phoenix dynasty will definitely be destroyed. Dragon Phoenix Queen, you don't need to consider the first condition or the second one. Only these two methods can protect your dynasty. The middle-aged man's tone was firm as he stared at Feng Yuan with confidence. The Flourishing Age Fire Lotus is a 5th-level Profound Void martial art treasure, and the Fire Lotus Array is a 4th-level Profound Void martial art cultivation auxiliary array. These two treasures are priceless. Feng Yuan stared at the middle-aged man, and her face darkened. Other than these two things, you want our Dragon Phoenix Empire to become your vassal state? Just a vassal state. Every year, we hand over some tributes, and there's not much else to do. Compared to being destroyed, becoming a vassal state is just a small matter. The middle-aged man looked at Feng Yuan, and a faint smile appeared on his face. The middle-aged man's words caused Feng Yuan's expression to change. Below them, the civil officials and generals looked extremely embarrassed. If they were to become a vassal state, they would be bound and restricted by the Dongyuan dynasty. Their future development would definitely not be so easy. They would even have to hand over tributes every year. Becoming a vassal state was equivalent to becoming someone else's underling. What if both of them disagree? Wang Xian looked at Feng Yuan, who was frowning. He turned to the middle-aged man and said faintly, Huh! The middle-aged man was slightly stunned when Wang Xian suddenly spoke. He raised his eyebrows and glanced at him. Then, he said faintly, You don't have the right to speak here. His words made Wang Xian smile. What if we don't agree? Feng Yuan stared at the middle-aged man and said coldly, If you don't agree, then forget it. There are some things that we can take for ourselves. The middle-aged man said faintly, Are you threatening us? At the back, the hot-tempered Hong Mang could no longer hold it in and shouted furiously. No, no, no. I'm helping you. Star Moon Kingdom came to our country to discuss some matters not long ago. Hee hee. As he spoke, he could not help but laugh. His tone was filled with a threatening tone. They looked at Feng Luan, as if they were going to eat her alive. The middle-aged man's words caused the entire hall to fall silent. There's no rush. We'll give you time to consider. If you don't agree in half an hour, we'll leave immediately. The middle-aged man straightened his clothes with a smile. He turned around and walked out. The people beside him stood up with smiles on their faces and followed behind the middle-aged man. Your Majesty, we'd better. An old civil official looked at the people of the Dongyuan dynasty walking out arrogantly, and opened his mouth hesitantly. Everyone in the hall looked at the old man and felt a little helpless. This old man was the prime minister of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, and was responsible for the civil servants. His meaning was clear. He chose the second condition. If not, the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty would not be able to survive this calamity. Feng Luan opened her mouth. She knew that this was the best choice for the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. There was still room for them to turn things around if they became a vassal state. However, if they were destroyed, how many years would it take for them to rise again? It would be difficult to establish a dynasty. Everyone, please wait. Feng Luan opened her mouth slightly. Just as she was about to speak, Wang Xian, who was sitting at the side, suddenly spoke. The people from the Dongyuan dynasty who were already walking at the door raised their eyebrows. Their eyes were filled with smiles. The middle-aged man turned around slightly and looked at Wang Xian arrogantly. Then, he stared at Feng Luan with a smug expression. Why? Have you made up your mind? Are you going to choose the first or the second one? The middle-aged man raised his head and asked with a smile. Let me choose for them. Wang Xian watched as the middle-aged man ignored him again and again. Then, he stood up slowly. He wanted them to see clearly. The middle-aged man raised his eyebrows slightly. Feng Luan also looked at Wang Xian with a frown. There was doubt in her eyes. Only a child would make a choice, but adults are all. Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man and his group with a smile on his face. Kill them! Kill them! It was a simple word. This word stunned everyone in the surroundings. Even the middle-aged man and his group from the Dongyuan Empire were slightly stunned. However, they soon realized what this word meant. Clang! Clang! Two bone-piercing sounds of sword rays rang out. Ao Jian and Wang Xian, who were behind Wang Xian, moved and directly attacked the group of over 10 people from the Dongyuan Empire. What? Dragon and Phoenix Empire, you are courting death. If you dare to attack us, our Dongyuan Empire will guarantee the extermination of everyone in your empire. When the middle-aged man and the rest saw the two golden swordfish attacking them, they looked extremely embarrassed. The middle-aged man in the middle raised his head and stared coldly at Ao Jian and Ao Jian. They did not fight back. If they dared to kill them, they would be seeking their own destruction. He dared to guarantee that the other party would not dare to do anything to them. Moreover, when the two armies fought, they would not kill their envoys. If they dared to lose any hair here, it would be the Dragon Phoenix dynasty declaring war on their Dongyuan dynasty. With the current situation of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, it would be too late for them to curry favor with them. How could they still provoke them? Humph! The group of people behind the middle-aged man also stood there arrogantly as they stared coldly ahead. 10,000 swords destroy! However, they were wrong. Anyone who wanted to show off in front of Wang Xian would have to pay a heavy price. Not good! No, they really dare to attack. How dare they? How dare they? Chapter 1361 1361 I like to destroy empires the most. In the main hall, a bone-piercing sword filled with killing intent charged straight towards the more than 10 people from the Dongyuan Empire who were acting cool. They thought that the Dragon and Phoenix Empire would not dare to make a move and offend them. Indeed, If Wang Xian had not arrived, the Dragon and Phoenix Empire would definitely not dare to do anything to them. However, it was a pity that the one who made a move was Wang Xian. Anyone who tried to show off in front of him would not have a good ending. Run away! Block it! Quickly block it! When Ao Jian and the rest's attack arrived, more than a dozen people from the Dongyuan Empire were completely panicking. The middle-aged man standing in the middle narrowed his eyes slightly. His eyes were filled with fear. Dragon and Phoenix Empire, you are courting death! He roared, and a flame shield instantly appeared on his body. The flame shield was completely formed, like lava. The terrifying might of a rank 2 void interpretation expert erupted from his body. However, the ones who killed them were Ao Jian and a rank 1 void interpretation golden swordfish. Ao Jian could fight a rank 3 void interpretation expert, while the other golden swordfish could fight a rank 2 void interpretation expert. Ao Jian wanted to kill a level 2 insightful void martial artist, and he was caught off guard. It was completely poo poo poo! Instant kill. A series of saber and sword sounds, and streaks of dazzling golden light directly pierced through their bodies. No, stop, stop! In the Great Hall, the civil officials and some generals of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty were also panicking. This queen friend who had suddenly appeared had actually killed all the people of the Dongyuan dynasty without saying a word. This was killing all of them. The Dongyuan dynasty was the last support of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, and now that they had suddenly offended them, what awaited them was destruction. 100% destruction. Even without the Star Moon dynasty taking action, the Dongyuan dynasty would destroy them. Everyone in the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty's hall was filled with fear. Cough cough, you dare to kill us? You're dead, you're dead. Cough cough. My brother Wang will kill everyone in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Everyone. Shut up! The middle-aged man in the middle widened his eyes and looked at the sharp sword that pierced through his heart. He raised his head and stared at everyone in front of him with a ferocious look. He growled with an incomparably ferocious look. Wang Xian, who was standing on the stage, spoke blandly. The long sword in Ao Jian's hand caused his head to fly up. Bang, bang, bang! The head rolled down. Every sound of it landing on the ground caused the hearts of the civil officials and generals in the hall to tremble. The Prime Minister of the Dragon Phoenix Empire was ashen-faced. His eyes were filled with despair. You have harmed our Dragon Phoenix Empire! His body was trembling as he shook his head helplessly and growled. Your Majesty, forgive me for not being able to serve the Empire. Your friend has killed the envoy of the Dongyuan Empire. This is a provocation to the Dongyuan Empire. This is suicide. A middle-aged man took 2 steps toward the center, bowed, and said with an extremely embarrassed expression, I can fight for the dynasty, but I won't die in vain. Please forgive me for not being able to continue serving the dynasty. Farewell. As he spoke, his body moved and flew out. When the other civil officials and generals saw a rank 2 profound void martial general leaving the dynasty, their expressions were extremely embarrassed. Their hearts were slightly shaken. Feng Luan stood in front of the throne and looked at the corpses on the ground and the generals who had left expressionlessly. She looked down at everyone below. What made her feel gratified was that none of the generals and civil officials wanted to leave. This caused a faint smile to appear on her face. In the entire hall, the most calm person was probably the Golden Origin. He had known Wang Xian for the longest time. He knew that since young Master Wang dared to make a move, he must have his own thoughts. Young Master Wang would not make a move rashly. The entire hall fell silent. The generals and civil officials all looked at Feng Luan, waiting for her order. Feng Luan glanced at Ao Jian and Ao Jian. After a flash of surprise, she turned to look at Wang Xian and shook her head speechlessly. By killing the envoys of the Dongyuan Empire, you are declaring war on them. The only one who can support us will also attack the Dragon Phoenix Empire. How am I supposed to defend against 3 to 4 empires? She looked at Wang Xian and said bitterly. So be it. Wang Xian looked at Feng Luan and shook his head. He smiled at her and said, "There's still me. 3 or 4 dynasties? I like destroying dynasties the most. I've said it before. I'll make you the only king on this road. I'll do it. I like destroying dynasties the most? I'll make you the only king on this continent?" When Wang Xian's voice rang out in the hall, the civil servants and generals opened their mouths slightly. The Prime Minister widened his eyes. He gulped and wanted to say that he was bragging. "I believe it." However, at this moment, they heard Her Majesty's voice again. Everyone was stunned. How could they believe such nonsense? Could it be that their unworldly Majesty, the Queen, had fallen in love? The IQ of a woman in love was 0? Just trust me. Leave the matters of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to me. I really want to see how many empires are coming. The more, the better. Wang Xian smiled at Feng Luan. After obtaining benefits from destroying the Heaven Island Empire and the One-Leaf Continent Empire, Wang Xian wondered if he might as well start destroying some empires in the future. However, after thinking about it, he decided to let it go. There must be a limit to killing. One must not lose one's heart. If one provoked one's enemies, one should kill them. However, if one did not provoke one's own people, he would not kill the innocent. The Dragon Palace would also maintain this rule in the future. Now that he saw someone wanting to destroy the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, Wang Xian was rather happy. That was because this gave him a reason to destroy them. "I'll leave it to you then. These few days have been too tiring." A city-toppling smile appeared on Feng Luan's face. After hearing Wang Xian's words, her tense nerves could finally relax. She felt relaxed all over. This feeling of having someone to rely on is really good. A thought suddenly appeared in her mind. This made Feng Luan squint her eyes. It was unknown whether she was happy or flustered. "Let's withdraw from the court. Each of you should stand guard at your respective positions and monitor the enemy's actions." Feng Luan waved her hand lazily and walked towards the back of the hall. Wang Xian followed her with a smile on his face. Seeing the queen leaving just like that, many people below looked at each other in dismay. Isn't the queen quite responsible? Why is she following now? The Prime Minister watched Feng Luan leave with a dumbfounded expression. He didn't finish his words, but in the end, what he wanted to say was, why was she acting like a stupid monarch? One had to know that the queen was usually a wise monarch with great ambitions. Yu Qingzi, Mang Hong, Yan Wenshan, the few generals, that is, what should we do now? Some of the civil servants and generals looked at the 3 of them. The 3 of them had followed the queen for the longest time. They knew a lot of things that they didn't know. This is a real man. Young Master Wang is a man that the queen can rely on. Suddenly, Mang Hong looked at Wang Xian's disappearing figure with some admiration and uttered these words. Everyone's lips twitched slightly. Faint. Chapter 1362. 1362 Those who wanted to leave immediately left. Believe in Her Majesty the Queen. Since the Queen said to hand it over to young Master Wang, we don't have to worry about it. Yu Qingzi pondered for a moment, and comforted all the civil officials and generals in the hall. Director Yu, this is not a question of whether we believe it or not. We are now in a good and bad situation with the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. Since we are staying, we will not betray the Queen. We just want a guarantee. A civil official said with a bitter expression. Don't worry. Young Master Wang is extremely mysterious. Even we don't know his trump card. However, the 2 middle-aged men who attacked just now, one of them is at level 3 and the other is at level 2 of the Void Interpretation Realm. Since young Master Wang dares to attack, he will definitely not harm Her Majesty the Queen. Yu Qingzi swept his gaze across everyone around him and said indifferently. This caused the generals and civil officials to be slightly stunned. They thought of the 2 middle-aged men who had been following Wang Xian. One was at level 3 of the Void Interpretation Realm while the other was at level 2 of the Void Interpretation Realm. To be able to have such subordinates, his influence was naturally extraordinary. Perhaps, he can really save our Dragon Phoenix Empire. Everyone thought to themselves. They looked at each other and walked out. Go, go, take the things. Let's go, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty is finished. It's over, it's over. The Queen's friend actually killed the only life-saving straw, the people of the Dongyuan dynasty. Now, not only are we being attacked by the Star Moon dynasty, but we will also suffer the revenge of the Dongyuan dynasty. Run, run away from here! A group of civil officials and generals had just walked out of the palace when they suddenly heard a series of terrified voices from their surroundings. This made all of them slightly shocked, and they looked around with ugly expressions. Wei Qibing, what are you doing? The Prime Minister of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty stared coldly at the position in front of him. More than 10 horses were lined up in the middle of the road, and around them, many young and middle-aged men were putting things on the road. At the front of the group, the general who had rushed out just now was riding a fierce beast. Of course, we are going to take my people and leave this place. Am I going to die here with you? When Wei Qibing heard the Prime Minister's figure, he stared at them with an ugly expression. He glanced behind him and said, Hurry up and get ready. Take everything and leave this place. You despicable and shameless person. Her Majesty the Queen has treated you well. How dare you do such a despicable thing? A civil official rebuked angrily. HMPH, then you mean you want me to die? Now the 3 dynasties have come to attack us. Now that we've offended the Dongyuan dynasty, what can the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty use to resist and take my life? Wei Qibing snorted coldly and looked behind him. Everyone, follow me! As he spoke, he directly walked forward. Let me kill this guy and take everything away. Man Hong's eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared coldly at Wei Qibing. We can't attack. The surrounding citizens are watching. If we attack, the hearts of the people will be in chaos. The Prime Minister quickly stopped him. The surrounding citizens were watching. If the enemy wasn't here, the dynasty would start an internal conflict. If the enemy wasn't here, the dynasty would fall apart. Are we just going to let this guy take the thing and leave? Mang Hong and a few generals had ugly expressions on their faces. The Prime Minister shook his head and looked at the terrified citizens around him. After hesitating for a moment, he entered the palace once more. What happened? Why did General Wei leave? They said that there would be 3 or 4 dynasties attacking us? General Wei actually left with his family and subordinates. Is our Dragon Phoenix dynasty really in a life-and-death situation? 3 or 4 dynasties attacking us? How are we supposed to fight? Is our dynasty going to be destroyed? When the surrounding citizens saw General Wei leave with his subordinates, their expressions changed as they discussed. The Dragon and Phoenix dynasty had sealed off the city recently, and the people already knew that there would be dynasties coming to attack them. However, what they did not know was that there would actually be 3 or 4 dynasties coming to attack them. Even the Dongyuan dynasty that was on good terms with them had turned against each other and might come to attack them. How could they defend against this? Panic spread from the bottom of everyone's hearts. Some of them widened their eyes and swallowed a mouthful of saliva as their expressions changed drastically. Everyone, don't worry. Young Master Wang has arrived. With young Master Wang and the Queen around, nothing will happen to us. Yu Qingzi heard the terrified voices of the people around him. He frowned slightly and said loudly, There were some things that could not be hidden, and they were not prepared to hide it. What? Lord Wang is here. With Lord Wang around, we are not afraid anymore. Young Master Wang? Which young Master Wang? Who is he? Some people knew Wang Xian's name, while others didn't. But very quickly, many people had some understanding of Lord Wang and young Master Wang. However, after understanding them, they were unable to stop their panic. How strong was the young Master Wang in the past? No matter how strong he was, could he be as strong as 3 to 4 dynasties? This made many people extremely fearful. No matter how strong that young Master Wang is, he's still not a match for 3 or 4 dynasties. Run, let's run! Some people ran out in fear. Only the people of St. C Town firmly believed in Lord Wang's strength. They were willing to advance and retreat together with the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, to live and die together. Your Majesty, General Wei's departure has brought great fear to our Dragon Phoenix dynasty. It might not be long before some people want to escape. What should we do now? The Prime Minister, who had returned to the palace, reported with an unpleasant expression. Let those who want to leave. We can take this opportunity to see who is loyal and who is disloyal. The Dragon Phoenix Empire will never accept those who leave. Feng Yuan shook her head expressionlessly when she heard the Prime Minister's report. Standing on the tower of the palace, she looked at her surroundings and looked at Wang Xian, who was sipping his tea at the side. A faint smile appeared on her face. Yes, Your Majesty. Then we will announce that whoever wants to leave will leave immediately. Those who leave will be prohibited from stepping into the territory of the Dragon Phoenix Empire in the future. The Prime Minister nodded slightly and retreated backward. The Dragon Phoenix Empire had developed so quickly. There were bound to be some people who were not loyal to the Empire. The Dragon Phoenix Empire could also use this opportunity to completely eliminate these people. Those who remained would be the most loyal subjects of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. If nothing goes wrong, the Star Moon Empire and the others will arrive soon. The strength of their three great empires will send at least 40 insightful Emptiness Realm experts. Apart from that, we also have to be on guard against the Dongyuan Empire. It is very likely that they will also send an army over. The current Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. They are here to share the food with us. Feng Yuan looked at Wang Xian, who was sitting leisurely by the side, and reminded him. We will be welcoming them during this period of time. Also, send someone to monitor the imperial cities and cities of these few dynasties. Since we are going to fight, let's fight a big country war. Wang Xian looked at Feng Yuan with a smile and said confidently. Chapter 1363. 1363 On the besieged city of the 1363 Three Kingdoms. All warriors, get ready! All families and experts of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, come to the East Gate. Do not disobey! Dong dong dong! In the morning of the next day, only 8 hours had passed, and an urgent voice resounded throughout the entire Dragon Phoenix Imperial City. The alert voice that could not be decided immediately shook everyone's hearts. Urgent and nervous. Are the enemies invading? So fast, they've come in just a few hours this time. Kill anyone who dares to invade our Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Kill them all. Kill them all. With Lord Wang and Her Majesty here, there's no regret in dying in battle. In just over a year, the Queen has let us live a peaceful and happy life. Anyone who dares to invade us, kill them all. Are there really 3 or 4 dynasties coming to attack us? It can't be true, right? The entire Dragon and Phoenix dynasty was in an uproar. Everyone had different expressions as they walked towards the East Gate's city wall. Some people were furious and looked like they were ready to face death. Some people were terrified and their eyes were flickering as they looked around. Your Majesty, the enemy is already 20 kilometers away from us. They are expected to arrive in 5 minutes. On the city wall of the East Gate, a general came forward to report respectfully. He looked ahead worriedly. All right, get all the soldiers ready. Feng Yuan nodded her head faintly and looked at Wang Xian, who was beside her. Wang Xian nodded his head at Feng Yuan and looked ahead with a smile. Your Majesty, our west, south, and north gates are sealed by a powerful formation. We can't get out at all. Your Majesty, there are at least 400,000 soldiers from the east rushing towards us. In less than 2 minutes, a general and a scout flew over with an awkward expression and reported again. Continue to monitor. Feng Yuan nodded her head faintly and looked at Wang Xian. I am now at level 3 of the Void Interpretation stage. I can fight against level 4 of the Void Interpretation stage. The enemies who came this time are personally led by the King of the Star Moon Empire. The other 2 empires, the Windhowl Empire, have sent an expert at level 4 of the Void Interpretation stage. The other empire, the South Cloud Empire, is personally led by the King of level 4 of the Void Interpretation stage. There are 3 people at level 4 of the Void Interpretation stage. Apart from that, we also have to guard against the Dongyuan Empire. The Dongyuan Empire is even more powerful. She pursed her lips as she spoke and reminded Wang Xian. A bunch of scum. There's no need for me to make a move at all. Wang Xian looked at Feng Luan, who still looked a little worried, and said with a smile, You are really annoying. If you have any strength, just bring it out directly. And you're still trying to hide it. Feng Luan glared at him when she saw his pretentious manner. Ha ha! Wang Xian laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, Dragon and Phoenix Empire, your doomsday has arrived. Surrender obediently and we will leave you with a complete corpse. At this moment, a carefree and even louder maniacal laughter came from the east. The voice was extremely loud and could be heard clearly within a radius of tens of kilometers. All soldiers, get ready for battle. Mang Hong looked at the black mass of people flying in front of him. His pupils constricted slightly as he roared. Yes! All the soldiers held their weapons tightly as they stared ahead with determination. Heavens, there are so many people! Look at that flag! 3 dynasties! 3 dynasties are attacking us! The flag of the Star Moon Dynasty, the flag of the Howling Wind Dynasty, and the flag of the Southern Cloud Dynasty. There are at least 300,000 to 400,000 soldiers. Look at the experts flying in the sky, those insightful Emptiness Realm experts in a row. The maniacal laughter attracted the attention of everyone from the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty. When they looked to the east, a powerful battle team appeared in their line of sight. Among the black mass of people, the most eye-catching ones were the more than 40 Void Interpretation experts floating in the sky. Some rode on Void Interpretation level mounts, while others stood on large swords. Each and every one of them exuded a terrifying might. Even from afar, they felt their hearts palpitate. More than 40 Void Interpretation experts, how are we going to fight them? Heavens, that old man in the middle is the king of the Star Moon Empire, Some of the citizens of the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City looked at the 3 empires that were slowly flying over with fear. Any one of these 3 empires would have a power that was even stronger than the Dragon Phoenix Empire. Now, the 3 of them were working together. How could they fight? In particular, in order to prevent the people from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire from abandoning the city and escaping, except for the East Gate, the 3 empires had secretly set up powerful formations to seal them off. There was no way to retreat. Fearless, get ready for battle. Feng Luan sensed the panic in her surroundings. She stared at the front with her cold eyes and shouted softly. Her voice entered the minds of the millions of people at the East Gate of the Dragon and Phoenix Royal City. With the Queen and I around, there's no need to fear. Wang Xian also shouted softly. No need to fear, fight! The group of generals floated above the city wall and shouted loudly. No need to fear, fight! 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 With the Queen and Sir Wang around, we must defend our country even if we have to die. Fight! Without Sir Wang, the 2 million of us would have died long ago. What's there to be afraid of? Our lives were given by Sir Wang and our survival was given by Her Majesty the Queen. What's there to be afraid of? Kill! That's right. If it wasn't for Her Majesty the Queen taking us in, we would have died outside a long time ago. It wasn't easy for us to find a safe place to live. We will fight for the Queen! As Feng Luan and Wang Xian shouted softly, the frightened citizens at the back held their weapons tightly with flushed faces and shouted loudly. Ha ha, fight? With your tiny Dragon and Phoenix Empire! A disdainful voice came from the center of the troops at the front. In the east, the armies of the 3 empires slowly stopped about 2 kilometers in front of them. They stopped there quietly. There was no sound at all, but they gave off a strong pressure. The powerful battle teams of the empires and the powerful cavalry warriors. 2 old men in yellow robes and an old man in a python robe stood at the center. Each of their faces was filled with dignity. The Star Moon King on the left was riding a golden lion. His eyes were cold as he stared at the majestic Dragon Phoenix Imperial City. Dragon Phoenix Queen, you have occupied the territory of my Star Moon dynasty and established your country. You have killed the experts of my Star Moon dynasty. Today, I will raze this place to the ground." A voice filled with killing intent resounded throughout the sky. "I heard that the traitor of our Windhowl dynasty, the Heaven's Eye Demon Beast clan, has a close relationship with you. Call them over, and we will exterminate them." On the right, the king of the Windhowl dynasty stood on a large green bird, and his faint voice sounded in the sky. "We don't have any enmity with your dragon and phoenix dynasty, but since our allies invited us, we can only come over and help exterminate you, ha ha." The king of the southern cloud dynasty, who was in the middle, laughed loudly. He did not put the dragon and phoenix dynasty in his eyes at all. Chapter 1364. 1364 Under the siege of the Three Kingdoms. 3 confident and cold voices came from the mouths of 3 fourth-rank void interpretation experts. 2 of them were the kings of the dynasty. Their voices were filled with disdain and disdain. The 3 kingdoms joining forces to fight against the Dragon Phoenix dynasty did have the qualifications. "You want to destroy us? Do you really think that the Dragon Phoenix dynasty is easy to bully?" Feng Wan heard their arrogant words and looked at them coldly. "Haha, if you can ally with the Dongyuan dynasty, we will have to consider if we want to deal with you, but now—" The Star Moon King looked at the experts of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty on the city wall with a smile. "Now, it won't be long before the Dongyuan dynasty's army comes to destroy you. However, there's no need to wait for the Dongyuan Empire to arrive. We'll destroy you all very soon, haha." He laughed loudly, and a ferocious expression slowly appeared on his face. The sudden rise of the Dragon Phoenix Empire had long caused the Star Moon Empire to be apprehensive for a long time. Especially the rapid development of the Dragon Phoenix Empire in the past year, which finally caused the Star Moon Empire to be unable to sit still. In just a short year's time, this empire had increased from the initial 5 void interpretation experts to 14 to 15 now. The speed of its development was too terrifying. This caused the Star Moon dynasty to have no choice but to ally with the Windhowl dynasty and the Southern Cloud dynasty to destroy it. The Windhowl dynasty and the Southern Cloud dynasty were also very concerned about the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. After all, a sudden rise in power would definitely threaten their surroundings in the future. After the Star Moon dynasty promised some benefits, the 3 kingdoms allied and directly attacked. The alliance of the 3 countries made them not put the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty in their eyes at all. This was especially true after they heard that the Dongyuan dynasty had turned against them. However, they needed to quickly destroy the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty to prevent the Dongyuan dynasty from sharing the spoils of war. "Star Moon dynasty soldiers, get ready! Windhowl dynasty soldiers, get ready! Southern Cloud dynasty soldiers, get ready!" Shouts immediately sounded out from their mouths. "Yes! Yes! Yes!" The 400,000 soldiers replied loudly, and their killing intent instantly condensed and shot into the sky. The sky was clear, and even the clouds were scattered. "I'll give the Dragon and Phoenix Empire a final warning. Surrender immediately, and we won't kill you. However, if you don't surrender, kill all the men, and the women will become slaves." "Ha ha!" The Star Moon King laughed and announced the verdict to the Dragon Phoenix Empire. "Roar! Roar!" His words made the eyes of the soldiers at the back light up. They looked excited and roared like wild beasts. "These damn guys! What? All the men will be killed and the women will become slaves? This. There are so many of them. How can we resist them?" Sensing the killing intent and roars coming from the front, some of the citizens in Dragon Phoenix City turned extremely pale. The men were killed, and the women were turned into slaves. Just thinking about it made them feel terrified. Behind the east gate, there was another commotion. "I finally know why General Wei suddenly left yesterday." Behind them, a middle-aged man muttered in fear. General Wei's departure yesterday had caused quite a bit of panic. At that time, some people had left the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. However, there were still some people who were somewhat shaken, but they didn't leave. But now, looking at the enemy's terrifying strength and hearing the other party's judgment, their bodies trembled. Your Majesty, we are not the enemy's strength. Surrender! Suddenly, the middle-aged man spoke to Feng Luan on the city wall. The middle-aged man's words caused many people around to look over angrily, but there were also some whose eyes flickered. Oh! Feng Luan, who was standing at the back, suddenly heard a voice from behind. She frowned slightly and turned her head to look. Your Majesty, the opponent is so strong. We don't want to die, and I don't want my lover to become a slave. Another middle-aged man suddenly said. Yes, yes. If we are really no match for the enemy, let's surrender. More and more people chimed in. Not everyone had the momentum to face death without fear. Not everyone was the citizen of Holy See Town who firmly believed in Lord Wang and the Queen. Believe me, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty will not be destroyed. Believe me, we will win this battle. Feng Luan turned toward the imperial city and spoke with a serious face. Her voice covered the entire imperial city and entered everyone's ears. Such a loud voice was clearly heard by the 400,000 soldiers outside. Star Moon King, Wind Howl King, and Southern Cloud King looked at each other, their faces filled with mockery. Ha ha, the war hasn't even started yet, and the other side is already in chaos. The Star Moon King laughed heartily. Because there are people who don't want to die and become enemies with us, only death awaits them. I do hope that they don't surrender, hee hee. The Southern Cloud King said with a smile. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire has quite a few experts. If we can recruit them, it would be pretty good. The Star Moon Dynasty rolled its eyes, and the corners of its mouth curled up slightly. It was full of cunningness as it muttered softly. The development of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty in this year has become our wedding dress. This is pretty good. As it spoke softly, it slowly raised its head and roared loudly. Citizens of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, listen up. As long as you surrender, I can spare your lives and pardon your crimes. I'll give you 30 seconds to consider. After 30 seconds, attack! The Star Moon King's voice was heard within the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. What? As long as you surrender, we'll be absolved of our crimes. Surrender, I surrender. This voice caused the citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to waver once again. Some of them even shouted loudly. Open the city gates! Feng Luan saw some of the scenes in the city and her expression turned cold as she spoke directly. Oh? Queen, are we going to? A general was slightly shocked and hurriedly asked. Open! Feng Luan glanced at him indifferently. This general didn't dare to ask any further, and immediately opened the city gates. Our Dragon and Phoenix dynasty will not lose this battle, nor will we lose. But if you don't believe me, go out and surrender now. Once we walk out, we will no longer be citizens of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. Do not even think about stepping into our territory. A cold voice rang out as she stood on the city wall, watching quietly. With Lord Wang and the Queen here, we firmly believe that we will not lose. Yes, I will not leave. Even if I die, we will not leave. I believe in Her Majesty. Let's go, let's leave quickly. Get out of the way. Everyone in front, get out of the way. Don't block my way out. Some people stood there firmly while others ran out of the city with all their might. This was a choice. To believe in the Queen or not. It's really troublesome to manage a country. The Dragon Palace is better. All the members of the Dragon Palace will submit 100%. Wang Xian looked down at the chaotic scene. He squinted his burning eyes and looked ahead as he muttered. I can't wait any longer. Chapter 1365 1365 Dragon Palace Battle. We surrender! We surrender! Don't kill us! We surrender! The east gate of the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City was wide open. The people who poured out of the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City shouted at the armies of the three kingdoms. Only tens of thousands of people? However, to the surprise of the Star Moon King and the others, only 40,000 to 50,000 people escaped from the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City to surrender. Although the number of people is relatively small, they are all elites. The Southern Cloud King at the side swept his gaze across the group of people who had come out to surrender, his face full of smiles. Most of these people were quite strong, and it seemed that their living conditions were not bad either. If these people were placed in a city, they would be considered elites. Feng Yuan looked at the 40,000 to 50,000 people who had left, and heaved a sigh of relief. Only 40,000 to 50,000 people had left in the nick of time, and she was still rather gratified. It's the Queen who gave us a safe and stable home. We're willing to fight for this home. At this moment, an old man shouted loudly with a flushed face. We're willing to fight for this home. We're willing to fight for our home. We're willing to fight for our Queen. In the city, the citizens roared with passion. They had all come from unstable and unsafe places to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Here, they enjoyed a stable life, and their children enjoyed a good education. They did not need to be afraid, and they did not need to live in fear. This was where they truly belong. Wandering around? Why not fight for their home, even if it meant death? Even if it meant becoming slaves? They had to fight for their home. A bunch of idiots. 3 dynasties besieging and the 4th dynasty coming soon. Even the general has run away. You idiots still want to fight for your home. Just wait for death. Hee, that's why they are poor and stupid. It won't be long before they are killed and all the women become slaves. Hearing the voices behind them, the faces of those who had escaped from the Dragon Phoenix Empire turned extremely grim. They had just learned that the Dragon Phoenix Empire had a powerful formation and a good living environment. They had just established their empire and were here to settle down and earn spirit stones. Now that the Dragon Phoenix Empire was about to be destroyed, they were afraid of death and had no sense of belonging at all. Thus, they left immediately. All right. Today, we will fight for the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. Trust me. Feng Yuan looked at the people behind her who were willing to fight for the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. Her eyes were filled with determination as she said to Wang Xian, who was beside her, I also trust your Lord Wang. Close the city gates. Wang Xian turned around and glanced at the people behind him. These were the citizens of Feng Yuan, but their faces were very cute. He ordered the soldiers at the city gates to close them. Good. A bunch of stupid things. I'll give you a chance to live, but you don't cherish it. All the Star Moon Empire soldiers, get ready. Kill! Don't hold back. Kill! Get ready to attack! Get ready to attack! The Star Moon King, the Southern Cloud King, and the Wind Howl King all gave orders at the East Gate. Kill! 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 Clang! 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 Roar! 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 The sky-shaking killing, the cold sound of weapons, and the roar of mounts all sounded at the same time. The wind and clouds changed, and war broke out. All the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, welcome the battle! Feng Yuan said coldly. Fight, I'm invincible! The soldiers roared. Charge! The 3 void interpretation experts stood in the air and roared. On both sides, the military flags of the 3 empires were waved. Charge! 400,000 soldiers attacked directly from 2 kilometers away. It's up to you! Feng Yuan looked at the army charging over, looked at Wang Xian, and said. Wang Xian smiled confidently, and raised his arms slowly. All citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, float in the sky and take a good look at this battle. All of you will be proud of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. You will be proud of your choices. In the future, all of you will be the best. A powerful and confident voice covered the entire Dragon and Phoenix Empire. This stunned the more than 10 million people in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Young Master Wang, are you going to show your trump card? The civil officials and generals around Wang Xian looked at him with flickering eyes. A strong sense of hope was revealed in their eyes. Was Sir Wang around, We are invincible. We believe in Sir Wang. Fly into the sky. When the citizens of Shanghai town heard Wang Xian's words, they flew into the sky in excitement. He actually wants us to watch the battle. What ability does this Lord Wang have? The eyes of the rest of the citizens flickered as they looked at the confident and arrogant figure. Anyone who had reached the transcendence level would fly into the sky. When they had just flown up, they saw an army of 400,000 charging over and 40 insightful void martial artists lined up neatly in the sky. Their faces turned pale, and their bodies trembled. Can we win? Everyone from the Dragon Phoenix Empire gulped, clenching their fists tightly. The Dragon Phoenix Empire is finished? Defend! What can we use to defend? Luckily we came out, otherwise it would be over. Outside, the citizens who had surrendered from the Dragon Phoenix Empire looked at the terrifying army, saying, "With a single charge, we will break through the city." The 3 4th-level Profound Void martial stage powerhouses were floating in the air above the 400,000-strong army. They stared at the front with awe-inspiring eyes and said confidently, "Disciples of the Dragon Palace, destroy them. Leave no one alive!" Wang Xian sensed the tens of millions of people from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire floating in the sky behind him and smiled. He looked ahead. When the 400,000-strong army arrived more than 1,000 meters in front of him, he let out a soft shout. "Roar! Roar! Heaven's Eye, Wind Dragon Illusion Arrow!" The moment Wang Xian's voice fell, roars and cold voices rang out in the surrounding area. A power that was as wild as the wilderness charged directly from the front and the left and right. The terrifying whistling sound caused the hearts of the 400,000-strong army to tremble. This whistling sound was accompanied by the majesty of a divine dragon. The expressions of the Star Moon King, Southern Cloud King, and Wind Howl King changed slightly as they hurriedly looked around. Just from the sound, they knew that the owner of the sound was extraordinary. What fast arrows block them! However, they suddenly saw arrows that were like wind dragons attacking them. The 3 of them changed their expressions slightly and said hurriedly, The expressions of the other nearly 40 insightful emptiness realm experts shot out icy cold expressions as they directly blocked the arrows. Not good, the power of that arrow is so terrifying! However, at this moment, the expression of an insightful emptiness realm second stage expert changed drastically as he looked at the flowing light like wind dragon illusory arrow in horror. Roar! The wind dragon arrow rushed to the front of the 400,000-strong army, as it let out a roar. This was Mao Zedong's aspect arrow. Roar! Boom! The terrifying attack landed in the midst of the Wind Howl Empire's army, instantly killing 30,000 to 40,000 soldiers. "Brothers, leave the Wind Howl Empire to us, kill!" A cold voice sounded out in the sky. Chapter 1366 1366 killed until blood flowed like a river. "Brothers, leave the Howling Wind Dynasty to us. Kill!" A cold voice resounded in the sky above the east gate of the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty. At the back of the 400,000-strong army, 400 Heaven's Eye demonic beasts, led by Mao Zedong, flew over with cold faces. Around them were dolphins of various colors and colorful vipers. On the left and right sides of the 400,000-strong army, 9 flood dragons that were 30 meters long swayed their huge bodies as they stared coldly at everyone from the 3 dynasties. Behind the flood dragons, there were demon monkeys that were 5 to 6 meters in size and lightning prawns that were 3 to 4 meters in size. Their bodies emitted a violent aura as they charged over. Along with the creatures at the back, there were only about 3,000 people. However, these 3,000 people caused the 400,000-strong army to stop. This was especially so for everyone from the Howling Wind Dynasty. They were completely stunned by Mao Zedong's attack. He, who was comparable to a rank 4 void interpretation expert, landed in the middle of the 400,000-strong army with his full strength. That terrifying attack instantly killed 30,000 to 40,000 people. Even a half-step void interpretation general was instantly killed. All right, leave the Star Moon Dynasty Army to the Demon Combat Division. Leave the Southern Cloud Dynasty Army to the Thunder Division. Aochi-tien held the ocean-pacifying needle in his hand, Aochi held the lightning spear in one hand, and the lightning hammer in the other. The two of them led their subordinates, and responded to Mao Zedong. Kill! 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 Immediately after, they did not stop. Mao Zedong roared and glared at everyone from the Howling Wind Dynasty with hatred. Then, he pulled the bowstring again. Today, we, the Wind-Eyed Demon Beasts, will take revenge for what we did to you. We will exterminate you and your Wind-Howl Dynasty. From now on, there will be no Wind-Eyed Demon Beasts, only the Heavenly Eye Arrow Division of the Dragon Palace. His cold gaze locked onto the Duke of the Phoenix-Eye Dynasty. His cold aura caused everyone's expression to change slightly. What? The leader of the Wind-Eyed Demon Beast is a rank 4 void interpretation expert. Other than the leader of the Wind-Eyed Demon Beast, the 9 huge demon beasts and the other 2 demon beast leaders are all 3rd-level void interpretation experts. When the 3 dynasties saw the powerful creatures that suddenly appeared behind them and on both sides, their expressions changed drastically. Especially the Duke of the Wind-Howl Dynasty, when he saw the 30,000 to 40,000 warriors that were killed in an instant, his heart bled. He stared at the leader of the Wind-Eye clan with bloodshot eyes and clenched his fists tightly. How is this possible? Mao Zedong, your Wind-Eye clan clearly only has a level 2 profound void bloodline. Your current strength. He stared fixedly at Mao Zedong. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, what greeted him was the densely packed arrows of the Wind-Eye clan. Roar! On both sides, the demon monkeys and thunder shrimps roared. Monstrous demonic chi and violent lightning were only 500 or 600 meters away from the 400,000-strong army. More than 3,000 people against 400,000 people, a difference of more than 100 times. However, no one from the Dragon Palace was afraid at all. Buzz! Heavenly Wind Shield! Seeing the arrows from the Wind-Eyed Demon Beast clan flying toward the army of the Wind-Howl Dynasty again, the Lord of the Wind-Howl Dynasty waved his arm. A staff appeared in his hand, and in an instant, it was as if a curtain of sky had appeared. The green curtain of sky blocked all the arrows. Wind-Eyed Demon Beast traitors, you are courting death. Today, I will definitely exterminate you. As he spoke, his body moved and directly attacked Mao Zedong, who was behind him. Kill them. There is only a 4th-level profound void martial artist and over 3,000 beasts. You are courting death. You think you can help the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty? Kill them all! The Star Moon King's expression changed drastically when he saw this scene. Flames surged from his body as he stared at the 9 flood dragons. No one can save you today! The Southern Cloud King's expression changed slightly, but soon, a 3-meter-long greatsword appeared in his hand. The greatsword emitted a dazzling golden light. Roar! 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 The 9 flood dragons hovered in the sky, staring at all the profound void martial artists from the 3 empires from afar. Is this Lord Wang's power? It seems like he killed 30,000 to 40,000 enemies in one move. Those 930-plus long creatures are so huge and terrifying. Oh my God, are we saved? Haha, I believe that Lord Wang can protect us. I have always believed it. In the Dragon Phoenix Royal City, the people floating in the sky looked excited when they saw the powerful members of the Dragon Palace descending like divine might. Their bodies trembled as they clenched their fists tightly. So strong, so strong! Even though there are only 3,000 creatures, the aura they released is not weaker than the 400,000-strong army. The Dragon Phoenix Empire's insightful Void Realm expert's eyes shot out an excited light as he muttered. All the soldiers of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, listen up. We cannot let our comrades fight outside. We, the Dragon Phoenix Sons, must show our strength and kill. Feng Wan moved her arm, and a blazing phoenix staff appeared. A clear and cold voice rang out, pointing directly at the battlefield. Kill! Follow me and kill! Mang Hong was the first to rush out, and he roared loudly. Following closely behind, the Dragon Phoenix Empire's more than 10 void interpretation experts immediately followed closely behind. Die for me! The Star Moon King saw the Dragon Phoenix Empire's experts and soldiers rush out, and his expression changed slightly. He waved the staff in his hand, and meteors appeared out of thin air. Each meteor was about 10 meters in size, and they attacked the Dragon Phoenix Empire's insightful Emptiness Realm experts. Fire elves! When Feng Luan saw the Star Moon King attack, she waved the Phoenix Scepter in her hand, and one after another, fairy-like flames attacked the meteors. Boom! 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 The meteors exploded, and instantly dissipated. Feng Luan's body slowly floated up, and her gaze locked onto the Star Moon King. If you dare to invade our Dragon Phoenix Empire, I will kill you today! A fire phoenix dot slowly appeared between her brows as a 1-meter-long fire phoenix slowly rotated around her body. At this moment, the Dragon Phoenix Queen seemed to have a phoenix goddess descending. The Star Moon King's aura was locked onto by Feng Luan as his expression changed slightly. I said I will destroy your Dragon Phoenix Empire. Today, you will definitely be destroyed. He growled in a low voice, and a sunlight ball appeared above his head. They were facing each other from afar. TSK, if that's the case, let me warm up too. Wan Xian saw that 2 4th-level insightful void martial artists were locked onto, as well as the King of Southern Cloud. He floated in the air indifferently and looked at the King of Southern Cloud with an indifferent gaze. This time, he was not prepared to let the strange demon clan make a move. He had to hide the fact that the strange demon was the dragon Spike for a while. Moreover, he only used a little bit of his strength when he was in his human form. However, that was enough. Boom! Chapter 1367. 1367 Blood flowed like a river. Boom! King of Southern Cloud, let me play with you! Hovering above the city wall, a faint smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. His voice was transmitted directly into the ears of the King of Southern Cloud, whose expression was constantly changing. He opened his mouth slightly and the 5 elements grinding mill slowly appeared above his head. Gradually, it became a radius of 1,000 meters. 4th level of the void interpretation. Sensing the threat from Wang Xian, the King of Southern Cloud looked a little embarrassed. He agreed to attack the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Initially, he thought that the Dragon and Phoenix Empire was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. He did not need to expend much energy to take them down. However, he did not expect that 2 terrifying powerhouses at the 4th level of the void interpretation would suddenly appear. Furthermore, there were more than 3,000 terrifying creatures. This time, the strength that they brought along was only 7 people at the 3rd level of the void interpretation realm. Initially, he thought that 7 people at the 3rd level of the void interpretation realm was considered too many. However, there were 9 terrifying creatures at the 3rd level of the void interpretation realm. This gave the King of Southern Cloud a bad premonition. Today, your 400,000 strong army shall stay here. Wan Xian was floating above the city. He did not rush out. After he finished speaking, he waved his arm and the 5 elements millstone directly attacked the King of Southern Cloud. Are you courting death? You want to leave us here? You don't have the ability to do so. The King of Southern Cloud held the golden greatsword in his hand and raised both of his hands. He attacked the 5 elements millstone directly. 1,000-meter-long golden sword ray seemed to have opened up the world as it slashed towards the 5 elements millstone. The terrifying golden sword ray vowed to split the 5 elements millstone into 2. 1. However, the 5 elements millstone slowly rotated and a flame burned towards the sword light. The 5 elements rotated and fire countered metal. The sword light dissipated before it reached the front of the 5 elements millstone. However, the 5 elements millstone rotated again and a destructive energy covered the Southern Cloud King. What? The Southern Cloud King was shocked and stared at the 5 elements millstone in disbelief. This was an attack released by that young man, but the opponent's figure had yet to get close. Sword without trace, break! Seeing the gray energy attack, The Southern Cloud King's face was filled with golden light as his body emitted a resplendent radiance. His entire figure became 100 meters in size as he slashed towards the gray energy. Boom! The terrifying collision sounded again. The collision of the two powerful energies released a powerful airwave. Ah! 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 The miserable shrieks sounded from the surroundings. The Southern Cloud King's expression changed drastically. He looked at his subordinates around him and took a deep breath. He stared at the 5 elements millstone and said, "I'm going to break you." His body moved and he flew thousands of meters into the sky. He stared at the 5 divine dragons on the 5 elements millstone, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. "Golden rain, descend!" he roared, and numerous golden needles appeared behind him. Each needle was about a meter long. The golden needles gathered together and attacked the 5 divine dragons on the 5 elements millstone. The 5 elements millstone spun, and the fire divine dragon faced the golden needles, emitting fireballs. Once again, the Southern Cloud King's attack was blocked by the 5 elements millstone. "My God, Lord Wang is so strong! He can easily fight against the Southern Cloud King with just a magical treasure. He's too powerful. Haha, Lord Wang is invincible. Look over there. Our queen is not at a disadvantage in the battle with the Star Moon King. She's even able to move with ease." That 4th-level insightful emptiness realm expert from the Howling Wind Dynasty was also blocked by Lord Heaven's Eye Demon Beast. Haha! Look at the battle below. Lord Wang's subordinates are so strong. Those 9 gigantic creatures have already killed 2 insightful emptiness realm experts. Oh my God, the 400,000 strong army below is being massacred. In the Dragon Phoenix Royal City, when all the citizens saw Wang Xian floating in the sky calmly and controlling a treasure to fight against the king of Southern Cloud Kingdom with ease, they almost knelt down and worshipped him. This was simply too awesome. In other locations, their queen, the leader of the Heaven's Eye Demonic Beast, was suppressing the powerhouses of the Star Moon King and the Howling Wind Dynasty. Not to mention the other places, where the 9 flood dragons were wreaking havoc and the demon monkey thunder prawns were massacring crazily. This is our dynasty, our queen, our king. The people who had been following the Dragon Phoenix dynasty since its establishment were so excited that tears welled up in their eyes. If they didn't give up on this dynasty, the dynasty wouldn't give up on them either. Kill ruthlessly, ha ha ha. On the battlefield, all the generals of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty had excited expressions on their faces. They felt that their bodies were filled with endless fighting spirit. With the appearance of Lord King's subordinates from the Dragon Palace, those powerful creatures were able to suppress the 400,000 strong army. They could even follow behind and attack. 400,000 soldiers, the elites of the 3 dynasties. How many half-step void interpretation experts could there be? 100 was more than enough, right? However, the group of creatures from the Dragon Palace had at least 1,000 half-step void interpretation experts. If you wanted to kill these 900 half-step void interpretation experts, you had to bring out 3,000 to 4,000 transcendent level rank 9 experts. Were there 3,000 to 4,000 transcendent level rank 9 experts in the 400,000 strong army? Obviously not. Not to mention the lowest rank 9 transcendents from the other factions. The Dragon Phoenix Dynasty soldiers were filled with excitement. The battle has only just begun. However, at this moment, at the rear of the Heavenly Eye Arrow, the only void interpretation expert of the Dolphin clan muttered, "Wang!" A special sound wave directly covered the entire battlefield. Streams of water condensed in the sky. The black clouds slowly condensed, and some poisonous snakes at the back stuck out their tongues. Their mouths moved slightly, and the pitch-black liquid directly entered the dark clouds in the sky. Blue raindrops and black raindrops covered the entire battlefield. Roar, roar! When the sound wave's assistants entered the entire battlefield, the demon monkey and the thunder shrimp let out an excited roar. Their minds were clear, and their bodies were filled with power. With the dolphin's support, they could increase their combat power by at least 30%. One should not underestimate a small 30%. This 30% could turn the tide of the battle. Moreover, when the sound waves entered the ears of the 400,000 soldiers, they were stunned. They had been feeling that an invisible energy was disturbing their thoughts, and their combat power was greatly reduced. Why do I feel that my body is filled with power, and my mind is much clearer? A Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty soldier suddenly felt the change in his body, and his face was filled with excitement as he shouted loudly. Me too, it's that special sound wave. This must be Lord Wang's special talent. Haha, it's simply too strong, kill, kill, kill. Another soldier shouted excitedly. Crash. At this moment, raindrops fell from the sky. Black raindrops fell on the soldiers of the 3 dynasties. Blue raindrops fell on the members of the Dragon Palace and the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasties. The slaughter had just begun. Blood started to gather. Chapter 1368. 1368 1368's blood flowed like a river. All. When the black rain fell downwards, endless screams sounded in the battlefield. This. The black rain from the sky fell on the bodies of the troops of the 3 kingdoms. It carried a strong poison. A transcendent level 8 was actually heavily injured. My God! The blue rain from the sky fell on my body. I feel that my recovery ability has increased by a lot. The wound that appeared just now is rapidly recovering. It's at the rear. It's Lord Wang's subordinates. Look at the sky. When the rain that covered the entire battlefield descended, the soldiers of the Dragon Phoenix Empire were once again stunned. The dense rain and black rain accurately fell on the soldiers of the 3 dynasties, while the blue drops landed on their bodies instead. The black raindrops could even injure a Type 8 Transcendent. However, the blue raindrops could increase their strength and recovery. The supporting effects were heaven-defying. In fact, the instant the black raindrops landed, tens of thousands of people had died in the rain. If the earlier battle had been one-sided, it was now a one-sided massacre. Disperse the black clouds in the sky, we must disperse them. On the battlefield, a half-step void interpretation expert blocked the violent demon monkey in front of him. As he felt the black rain falling from the sky, he shouted with an extremely ugly expression. And behind them, the creature that is emitting special sound waves to assist us, kill them. We must kill them. However, just as he finished speaking, another expert not far away shouted loudly. It's over, how could it be, how could they be so terrifying? However, there were even more terrified voices coming from the battlefield. Some of the soldiers of the 3 kingdoms had already cried out in fear. They were somewhat shocked by the sudden appearance of these creatures. Their violent attacks, terrifying defenses, and powerful strength made it difficult for them to resist. They were originally at a disadvantage, but now they were being disturbed by the sound waves and attacked by the black rain in the sky. They had to resist both the powerful enemies and the black rain in the sky. As for dispersing the black rain and killing the group of dolphins behind them? Who was going? Right now, they were no different from lining up to die. As long as the Lord Profound Void can kill the other party, we can still obtain victory. Some of the soldiers thought in fear. I'm not resigned. However, at this moment, a tragic sound reverberated throughout the entire sky. Hearing this sound, the hearts of all the soldiers of the Southern Cloud Dynasty trembled slightly. They turned their heads and widened their eyes filled with fear. What? How is this possible? They widened their eyes and looked at a huge millstone that covered the head of the Southern Cloud King thousands of meters in the sky. The millstone spun and streams of gray energy washed over the Southern Cloud King. The armor on his body quickly crumbled under the gray energy. The great sword in his hand was directly sent flying. Their king struggled in fear. His face was filled with unwillingness and fear. Die! At this moment, they heard a disdainful voice. Some people turned their heads and looked at the Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty's city wall. There, a young man was floating in the air. His palm moved slightly and controlled the huge millstone from a distance of 5,000 to 6,000 meters. The millstone spun and crushed towards their king. Ah! With a desperate scream, the Southern Cloud King was crushed by the five elements millstone. And that figure only attacked from a few kilometers away. The gap was so huge. It was simply crushing. It's over. Our king actually fell. It's over, it's all over. When the Southern Cloud Dynasty soldiers saw this scene, their bodies trembled violently, and the fighting spirit in their hearts disappeared. Their king, the strongest expert of the Southern Cloud Dynasty, was actually controlled by someone to directly kill him at a distance of 5 to 6 kilometers. This disparity was simply too great. One of the profound void Tier 4 experts had already fallen. How could they continue to fight? Ah! Right at this moment, another miserable cry sounded out. Some of the soldiers raised their heads once more to look, and they saw that in the sky, many profound void tier experts had fallen one after another under the attacks of the 9 flood dragons and the demon monkey lightning creature. Originally, those creatures were able to contend against the 40 profound void martial experts of their 3 empires. Now that all the profound void martial experts of the Dragon Phoenix Empire had made a move, it had completely become a crushing blow. Flee! Flee! The profound void martial experts of the 3 great empires watched as their comrades fell one after another, their faces filled with fear and uncertainty. They gritted their teeth, and one of the rank 3 profound void martial experts turned around and fled into the distance. Ha! A bunch of trash, still trying to escape! The 2 Dragon Phoenix Dynasty experts roared out with derision. Roar! The 2 flood dragons saw the escaping experts and moved. As members of the Wind God Dragon bloodline, there were very few who could be faster than them. The 2 flood dragons chased after them, and in less than a minute, they killed the expert who had lost the battle. Escape, he couldn't escape. Fight, he couldn't win. The rain in the sky continued to fall. Some of them landed on the ground, mixed with blood. The entire ground was sticky and blood-red. 10 minutes later, the blood on the ground gradually gathered into a small river. There were 200,000 to 300,000 corpses on the ground. It was brutal, the intensity of the battle. Wang Xian floated above the city wall. He didn't continue to attack. Under his control, the 5 elements millstone floated beside the battlefield of Feng Luan, the king of Star Moon, Mu Zixin, and the king of the Feng Shao dynasty. He wanted to prevent the other party from escaping. None of the enemies that came today would be able to escape. Haha, we are going to win! We are going to win! This is great, this is great! Lord Wang is mighty. He killed the king of Southern Cloud in just a few minutes. Furthermore, he has been standing on the spot and controlling the millstone from afar. He is simply invincible. This is great. Ha ha ha, the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is invincible. Lord Wang is invincible. Her Majesty the Queen is invincible. In the Dragon Phoenix Empire, the people of the Dragon Phoenix Empire who were watching the battle in the sky roared in excitement. They had won! They had won! Judging from the battle, they had won 100%. Their Dragon Phoenix Empire was the strongest. They were so excited that they couldn't describe it. How is this possible? The 3 dynasties have lost. They have lost completely. That Lord Wang, he actually has such terrifying strength and influence. Heavens, if I had known earlier. If I had known earlier, I would have stayed in the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. He actually defeated the 3 dynasties. Heavens, doesn't that mean that the 3 dynasties will be conquered by the Dragon Phoenix dynasty in the future? I actually left the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Chapter 1369. 1369, the Dongyuan dynasty that was scared shitless. Compared to the excited citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, they were standing on the side of the battlefield. The 40,000 to 50,000 people who had escaped from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, and those who were about to surrender were completely dumbfounded. They had never expected that the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, which only had one city, could actually destroy the 3 dynasties. These were the 3 great dynasties, and 2 of the kings had personally led their troops into battle. There were more than 40 insightful void martial artists in total, yet such power was still defeated. They could already imagine that not long from now, the Dragon Phoenix Empire would rise powerfully, and even take over all the cities of the 3 great dynasties. At that time, the Dragon Phoenix Empire would become the most powerful dynasty in the nearby domain. As a citizen of a powerful dynasty, there were naturally many benefits. Not to mention, the benefits within the Dragon Phoenix dynasty were much better than in many places. If we knew that Lord Wan had such powerful strength, we wouldn't have come out. We regret it. Her Majesty the Queen obviously opened the city gates on purpose to let us leave. She knew. Regret appeared in their minds. 40 to 50,000 people stood there in a daze, their faces filled with regret. Looking at the battlefield that had already turned into a river of blood, all of their faces were extremely pale. Star Moon King, go to hell! At this moment, in the sky that was covered by flames, Feng Luan's cold voice sounded. If you want to kill me, you'll have to pay a heavy price too. In front of him, the Star Moon King was in an extremely sorry state. His long golden hair was disheveled and his body was charred black. He stared at Feng Luan with a somewhat pale face and roared ferociously. The Star Moon King never expected that he was actually not a match for the Dragon Phoenix Queen. The other party's terrifying flame control caused him to suffer quite a bit. Seeing that the Dragon Phoenix Queen was about to unleash her strongest attack, he tightly held onto his scepter. Twinkle, twinkle. Flaming starlight. I want to see who will kill who today. He swept his gaze below and fearfully looked at the terrifying millstone at the side. He swore to fight to the death as he roared. Phoenix cry, 100 fire phoenix! The phoenix staff in Feng Luan's hand was raised towards the sky. In the surroundings, densely packed flames condensed. A phoenix that was over 2,000 meters in size condensed in the void. It flapped its enormous wings and attacked the Star Moon King's flaming starlight. The fiery starlight was located behind the Star Moon King, condensing into a pattern of the fiery starry sky. When the 100 fire phoenix rushed over, it was like the world-extinguishing fire phoenix, destroying the fiery starry sky. No! When the world-extinguishing fire phoenix swallowed the starry sky, it continued to swallow the Star Moon King. If you dare to kill me, our Howling Wind dynasty won't let you go. Our king won't let you Heaven's Eye demon beasts go. At this moment, not far from the side, Mao Zedong's long and slender arm, which was covered in dragon scales, grabbed the Howling Wind dynasty lord's arm. Die! The Howling Wind dynasty lord's face was flushed red as he roared in terror. Die! However, Mao Zedong's cold eyes did not have the slightest ripple as he exerted force with his palm. Crack! Crack! The sound of breaking could be heard. The Star Moon King and the Howling Wind dynasty's rank 4 void interpretation experts had fallen one after another. No, we surrender! Don't kill us! I surrender! I surrender! When the 2 kings and the Howling Wind dynasty's king had died completely. Below, the soldiers of the 3 dynasties' armies had completely collapsed. One by one, the soldiers threw away the weapons in their hands in fear and shouted loudly. Some of them even knelt on the ground and started begging for mercy. They looked at the densely packed corpses around them, and their faces were extremely pale. Every single one of them was trembling. They had completely given up on resisting. The current 400,000-strong army had less than 100,000 soldiers. Some of the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire saw them surrendering and stopped their attacks. However, the members of the Dragon Palace did not stop. They would not stop without Wang Xian's order. Even if the other party gave up resisting, they continued to kill rapidly. This caused the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to hesitate. There are no captives. Kill them all! Feng Luan floated in the sky. Her cold eyes stared downwards as she made her final judgment. Kill them all! Not a single one of the 400,000-strong army was left alive. As the former empress, Feng Luan had witnessed too many massacres. In a war, there was only killing and being killed. If there were no Wang Xian today, what would happen to the Dragon Phoenix Empire? As they said, all the men were killed, and all the women became slaves. Everyone was very clear about the fate of slaves. Kill! They are here to kill us and make us women slaves. Similarly, we will not spare a single one. Not a single one alive! Hearing the queen's order, a general roared with a ferocious expression. All the soldiers agreed and the killing continued. Blood flowed like a river. 400,000 corpses fell to the ground. The entire scene was spectacular. However, the citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty were not afraid. In this world, monsters would usually attack cities with hundreds of thousands, or even millions of corpses. They didn't feel uncomfortable about this at all. All the citizens looked at the soldiers below as if they were looking at a hero. The soldiers didn't hesitate to kill the enemy either. This was their meritorious service. Although this war was mainly dependent on Lord Wang and his subordinates, they were still able to survive. Screams of pain rang out. The remaining less than 100,000 people were quickly killed. Foam, I'll take these corpses away. They're useful. When the last scream ended, Wang Xian looked at Feng Luan and said to her, Of course. Clean up the battlefield. We'll prepare for the next plan. Feng Luan smiled and nodded at Wang Xian. Reporting to your majesty. In this battle, our Dragon and Phoenix dynasty only lost more than 50 people. If we kill the enemy, it's all thanks to Sir Wang's subordinates. A group of generals flew over excitedly and reported to Feng Luan. As they spoke, they looked at Wang Xian with respect and admiration in their eyes. If Wang Xian and the Dragon Palace were not here, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty would definitely be destroyed. It was also because of the powerful subordinates of the Dragon Palace that they had only lost more than 50 people. Otherwise, if they were to lose more than 10,000 people in a battle, it would be a complete victory. Not to mention that there were only 50 people. As for killing the enemy, they would just follow behind and add on the damage. They didn't dare to talk about killing the enemy. General of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, thank you, Sir Wang. Yu Cheng, Mang Hong and the rest exchanged glances and bowed to Wang Xian to express their gratitude. General of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, thank you, Sir Wang. All the citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, thank you, Sir Wang. Thank you, Lord Wang. All the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty bowed and thanked him. Following that, all the people of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty bowed deeply and thanked him loudly. Chapter 1370. 1370 in the Dongyuan dynasty where 1370 peed their pants. There's no need. Get up! Wang Xian saw the millions of pairs of eyes looking at him with respect and admiration. He waved his hand with a smile and said nonchalantly. Feng Luan came to Wang Xian's side and looked at him with a smile. She said softly, Thank you. Ha ha! Wang Xian raised his head slightly and laughed loudly as he looked at her with an arrogant look. Humph! Feng Luan rolled her eyes at him when she saw her behavior. She snorted softly and looked at the members of the Dragon Palace. I really didn't expect them to improve to such a terrifying level in just half a year. That's because I'm back. Naturally, they will be able to improve tremendously. Wang Xian laughed and echoed from the side. You are really thick-skinned. Feng Luan looked at him speechlessly. Sigh, look at Her Majesty the Queen and Lord Wang chatting and laughing. This is very rare. Her Majesty the Queen has always been extremely cold. Is it because Her Majesty and Lord Wang have? Don't talk about Her Majesty behind her back. But I feel that our Queen and Lord Wang are very compatible. Furthermore, the Queen and Lord Wang are very close. It would be great if the Queen could really be together with Sir Wang. With Sir Wang around, who would our Dragon Phoenix Empire be afraid of? Perhaps our Queen and Sir Wang are already together. You don't know that this city was given to our Queen by Sir Wang. Also, every time we are in trouble, Sir Wang would come over to help us. What do you want to say? At the back, The citizens who were floating in the sky saw the intimate interaction between Wang Xian and Feng Luan. They looked over from time to time and laughed. The generals and soldiers on the city wall also turned over. Their faces were filled with smiles. They really hoped that Her Majesty the Queen could be together with Sir Wang. With Sir Wang around, they would have nothing to fear in the future. During today's battle, Wang Xian's position in the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty was almost comparable to Feng Luan's. Reporting to the Queen, the army of the Dongyuan dynasty is currently at a location of 15 kilometers away. They are expected to arrive in 5 minutes. At this moment, a scout flew over quickly and reported loudly. Dongyuan dynasty? Feng Luan revealed a smile when she heard the scout's report. The 4th dynasty! Wang Xian's eyes lit up and he couldn't help but lick his tongue. The delivery man had arrived. Those scumbags from the Dongyuan dynasty. Since they are here, we will give them a surprise. Ha ha! The generals from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty laughed confidently. At this moment, an army was flying towards them at a speed of 15 kilometers away from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. This army was completely different from the 3 dynasties of the Star Moon dynasty. At the front of the army were rows of palace maids, each of whom was riding on colorful birds and beasts. They stood on top with a huge cattail leaf fan in their hands. A total of 20 palace maids stood on both sides, and at the back was a sedan chair that was 20 meters long. The sedan chair was pulled by 10 5-meter-long beasts, and in the middle of the sedan chair sat a middle-aged man in a luxurious dragon robe. The middle-aged man in the dragon robe had a small mustache, and the 2 concubines on his left and right were serving him. Behind him was a powerful army. This trip did not seem to be for war, but for tourism. Speed up. We can't let Star Moon Dynasty destroy them. We must get the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty's Flourishing Age Fire Lotus and the Flourishing Age Fire Lotus Array formation. The middle-aged man in the dragon robe who was sitting on the dragon palanquin looked at the information in his hand. He frowned slightly and said to an old man around him, "Yes, Your Majesty." The old man revealed a bitter smile. How could he be fast enough to destroy a dynasty with such a formation? However, the old man could only mumble in his heart. He shouted at the surrounding people and sped up a little. "Your Majesty, there's no need to be anxious. The Dragon Phoenix Dynasty actually dared to kill our envoys. We can easily destroy them. Even if the Star Moon Dynasty has already destroyed the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty, the treasures still belong to us. They don't dare to fight with us," a woman next to the dragon-robed middle-aged man said with a smile. "Beware of accidents." The dragon-robed middle-aged Eastern Yuan king frowned as he looked at the information in front of him and said indifferently, "With our Dongyuan dynasty's strength and your wisdom, nothing unexpected will happen," the woman said flatteringly. "If it was in the past, I naturally wouldn't be worried, but a mysterious and powerful force suddenly appeared in our vicinity." The Dongyuan king's eyes flickered. They destroyed the Sky Island dynasty and the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. That's the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. What? There's actually such a powerful force? The Dongyuan king's words caused the 2 women to be slightly shocked, and their expressions changed slightly. "Yes, but after we obtain the Flourishing Age Fire Lotus and the Flourishing Age Fire Lotus Array, our strength will be greatly increased. It won't be long before our strength will surpass the One-Leaf Continent Empire. When that time comes, we won't be afraid even if we meet that force." A trace of arrogance slowly appeared on the Dongyuan king's face. "That's for sure. Even if His Majesty meets that mysterious faction now, with His Majesty's powerful strength, he will be able to crush everything. In this flowing sea region, other than the top factions in the Ladybug Graveyard, other than the carefree city lord position, you are the most powerful." The 2 women continued to lick. "Haha, of course." The king of Dongyuan lay down and narrowed his eyes, his face full of enjoyment. He did not take the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty's attack to heart at all. However, when he thought of the graceful figure of the Dragon Phoenix Queen, his heart burned with passion. The magnificent army flew toward the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty. What a strong smell of blood. Is there a fight already? Maybe the Star Moon Empire has already destroyed the Dragon Phoenix Empire. After all, a small Dragon Phoenix can't resist the alliance of 3 dynasties at all. We have to be quick too. Our king is determined to get that treasure. Faster! On both sides, the insightful Emptiness Realm experts whispered to each other when they smelled the smell of blood in front of them. As the army flew, the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City appeared in their line of sight. The Dongyuan dynasty has arrived. The Dongyuan king has arrived. Has the Dragon Phoenix dynasty been destroyed? When the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City appeared in their line of sight, the arrogant voice of an old man sitting beside the king of the Dongyuan dynasty directly covered the front. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty has killed our country's envoy and snatched the treasures. Today, our Dongyuan dynasty's army has come to subvert it. The old man explained his intentions and the entire Dongyuan dynasty army flew forward proudly. However, as they got closer and closer to the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, they felt that the atmosphere was a little weird. On the city wall, a group of soldiers were looking at them mockingly. Chapter 1371. 1371 Under the terrified Dongyuan dynasty. They were afraid that the air would suddenly become quiet. When the Dongyuan dynasty was only about 2,000 meters away from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, the entire army stopped. They felt the strange atmosphere around them and looked up at the city wall. On top, soldiers stood there with a mocking smile in their eyes. This caused everyone in the Dongyuan dynasty to be slightly stunned. The 150,000-strong army looked around in shock. The blood-red river was located in front of the city, and the thick smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. The ground was covered with corpses. In the middle of the corpses, there were close to 3,000 strange creatures cleaning something up. Seeing them arrive, all the creatures stopped and stared at them with wild eyes. Their bodies were stained with sticky blood, and every creature was exuding a terrifying power and murderous aura. This was definitely not something that could be obtained by simply killing dozens of people. Every creature had to kill at least hundreds of people to be able to condense such a terrifying murderous aura. In the sky, the 9 huge swaying flood dragons stared at them coldly. Have we arrived? What's going on? The king of the Dongyuan kingdom, who was lying on the palanquin, felt the troops stop and the strange atmosphere around him. He immediately sat up. Placing his hands on his knees, he pulled off his loose dragon robe and stared ahead. Long time no see, king of the Dongyuan kingdom. Are you here to subvert our Dragon Phoenix dynasty? Feng Luan's voice rang out. She slowly floated into the sky and stared coldly at the Dongyuan kingdom. Your Dragon and Phoenix dynasty wasn't. Looking at the Dragon and Phoenix queen floating in the sky, the king of the Dongyuan kingdom was slightly stunned. A trace of surprise flashed through his eyes. Boom! 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 However, before he could finish his words, he saw the generals on the city walls slowly flying toward the ground. At the city gates, the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty charged out with killing intent on their faces. Against a force that wanted to destroy their dynasty, they could only return a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. Roar, roar! In the sky, 9 flood dragons roared. Their huge bodies swayed as they slowly surrounded them. Seeing this scene, all the soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty were stunned. They had just arrived, and before they were ready to attack, the enemy had already started to slowly approach them. What was more frightening was that the Dragon Phoenix dynasty didn't seem to have suffered much loss. Then, where did the hundreds of thousands of corpses on the ground come from? Could it be? A thought suddenly appeared in everyone's mind. As they looked at these terrifying creatures, their expressions slowly began to change. The entire sky was silent. Only the cold expressions of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty soldiers could be seen. You killed the Star Moon dynasty? And Dongyuan dynasty insightful Emptiness Realm expert saw this scene and had a bad premonition in his heart. He asked with a shocked expression. If you want to destroy us, then we will also kill the enemy. Feng Luan's incomparably cold voice rang out in their ears, causing the expressions of all the Dongyuan dynasty soldiers to change greatly. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty had actually killed the 3 invading armies of the Star Moon dynasty. Then, they looked at the 9 long and 30 terrifying creatures in the sky, looking at the demonic beasts that were emitting monstrous demonic chi and violent lightning. Boom! At this moment, the king of the Dongyuan dynasty, who was sitting in the sedan, suddenly stood up, his gaze fixed on the 9 flood dragons in the sky, the demon monkey and the thunder shrimp in front of him. His arm trembled slightly, and he looked at the information in front of him. There were not many words on the information, but there were a few pictures on it. These were all sent by the spies planted by the Dongyuan dynasty in the One-Leaf continent. Among them, there were 3 pictures that were more eye-catching. One of them was a 30-meter-long flood dragon. One of them was a devil monkey with monstrous devil chi, and the other was a thunder prawn covered in lightning. The pictures were very realistic. They were exactly the same as the 3 creatures in front of them. How? How is this possible? Why is that mysterious force killing us? Dragon Phoenix Queen, you killed an envoy of our Dongyuan dynasty for no reason. Do you really think that our Dongyuan dynasty is afraid of you? Do you want to give us an explanation? The king of the Dongyuan dynasty stood there and muttered. Suddenly, a burly old man on the left took 2 steps forward with an angry expression. He stared at everyone in front of him with a cold expression and shouted loudly. His words caused the expression of the king of the Dongyuan dynasty to change drastically. Shut up! He hurriedly shouted at the old man who spoke. His tone quickly changed as he cupped his hands towards Feng Luan. It's a misunderstanding. Your Majesty, the Dongyuan dynasty is not here to find trouble with you. We are here to help you. That's right, we are here to help you fight against the 3 dynasties. However, we didn't expect that you would destroy them all. Hee hee, congratulations. The Dongyuan king squeezed out a smile and said, Since the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is safe and sound, we will leave now and return to the palace. Finally, he said the word return to the palace in a somewhat hurried manner. Everyone in the entire Dongyuan Empire was stupefied as they looked at their king with a face full of astonishment. This fuck? The king was here to make a joke? Some of the generals frowned slightly. When they saw the king's tone of submission, their eyes flickered with a luster. Return to the palace, immediately return to the palace. A few insightful Emptiness Realm experts understood the situation and said hurriedly, Since you're here, don't leave! At this moment, Wang Xian's voice rang out. He didn't understand why the Dongyuan dynasty was so cowardly and left immediately. However, the express delivery that was delivered to them didn't allow them to leave. Wang Xian waved his arm. The 5 elements millstone flew into the sky and covered an area of 2 kilometers. It covered the 150,000 troops of the Dongyuan dynasty. Roar! Roar! Seeing the Dragon King making his move, the members of the Dragon Palace roared and charged at the 150,000 soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty. The 3,000 creatures charged at the 150,000 soldiers. It looked a little comical, but it was true. Run! Everyone, run! Run now! However, what shocked everyone even more was that the king of the Dongyuan dynasty's expression changed drastically. With a roar, his body moved. Without any hesitation, he fled into the distance. What? All the generals and soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty were somewhat stunned when they saw the king flee. Flee immediately. The other party is the faction that destroyed the Sky Island dynasty and the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. Immediately! When the Dongyuan kings saw the 150,000 soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty who were somewhat stunned, he turned his head and roared with an extremely embarrassed expression. How is this possible? Destroy the factions of the Sky Island dynasty and the One-Leaf Continent dynasty? What? This? The king said. When the terrified voice of the Dongyuan king sounded again, everyone trembled. Destroy the forces of the One-Leaf Mainland dynasty and the Sky Island dynasty? The One-Leaf Mainland dynasty was in existence that was even more powerful than their Dongyuan dynasty. Run! Everyone in the Dongyuan dynasty was scared to death. Chapter 1372. 1372 wiped out 100,000 in one strike. He escaped? The Dongyuan king actually escaped. All the soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty actually escaped. This wiped out the power of the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. I know about the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. That's the most powerful existence among the dozens of dynasties nearby us. Could it be that this dynasty has been wiped out? Furthermore, the Dongyuan king looks so frightened. Was it Lord Wang and the others who destroyed it? It must be. I didn't expect Lord Wang to destroy such a huge dynasty. It's simply too terrifying. The Dongyuan king's escape caused everyone from the Dragon Phoenix dynasty to be stunned. What the hell, was there a need to be so cowardly? However, when they heard the Dongyuan king's words, they were all in a daze. Many people knew of this powerful dynasty. It was not an exaggeration to say that the One-Leaf dynasty was even stronger than the three dynasties that had just united. However, what they did not expect was that such a dynasty had been destroyed by Lord Wang and the others. How terrifying! No wonder the people of the Dongyuan dynasty were fleeing like they had wet their pants. They did not even care about the image of the king. Some of the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty thought to themselves, Kill them all. If they don't attack me, I won't attack them. Kill them all. A general of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty roared when he saw that the soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty were about to escape. He was filled with killing intent. Kill! The soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty roared with killing intent as they chased after them. Run! 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 At this moment, the 150,000 soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty were in complete chaos. They had come here thinking that they could kill wantonly and have fun with the women of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. However, they didn't expect to encounter a force that even the king was terrified of. The soldiers fled into the distance in fear. The entire army was in complete chaos. If you want to kill, we will send you to hell. Just as the 150,000 soldiers and powerhouses of the Dongyuan dynasty were fleeing frantically in all directions, Wang Xian's cold voice rang out. The 5 elements millstone that was suspended in the sky was operating slowly. Wang Xian's body trembled. The entire 5 elements millstone trembled slightly as well. A grayish destructive energy charged towards the 150,000 soldiers in front of him. The grayish energy covered an area of 2 kilometers. Like a long river, it swept towards the place with the highest number of people. The speed was so fast that some insightful void martial artists could not dodge in time. There's an attack from the back. Defend! You want to leave me here? Impossible! Run! One of the generals sensed the grayish energy sweeping towards him. His expression changed slightly as he charged forward and flew into the sky. The other insightful emptiness realm expert clenched his teeth tightly and charged forward. Block, block, block! The gray energy that covered an area of 2 kilometers and penetrated 7 to 8 kilometers arrived. An insightful emptiness realm expert at the back shouted loudly. His body was emitting a thick and heavy earth energy. His entire body was completely covered by the earth energy. The earth attribute defense was the strongest. However, just as he finished speaking, the gray energy covered his body. His entire body trembled, and his eyes widened slightly. The earth attribute energy on his body slowly descended. His life force vanished, and his body fell towards the ground. Wang! The gray energy covered an area of 7 to 8 kilometers. It was as if a black ink had been left on a piece of white paper. Silence, silence. All. A rank 2 void interpretation expert who had just started flying towards the sky quickly dodged the attack of the gray energy and flew upwards. However, his legs were still swept by the gray energy. A terrifying destructive energy entered his legs. He let out a loud roar and hurriedly flew upwards. It could be seen that his legs had completely lost their vitality. What? This is impossible! Oh my God! Following the expert's roar, when he looked downwards, the surrounding soldiers saw the area that had been wiped out by the gray energy. In an instant, their eyes widened, filled with fear. At least 2/3 of the entire army, at least 100,000 people, had fallen to the ground. There was not the slightest bit of life, nor were there any screams. They fell to the ground directly. There were even quite a few profound void martial experts among them. The remaining 40,000 to 50,000 people were somewhat dazed. Looking at the 100,000 people who were instantly killed, each of their eyes were filled with fear. One strike to kill 100,000 people? No, I don't want to die. Devil, he is a devil! The remaining soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty screamed in despair. Some of them even collapsed on the ground. 100,000 of their comrades were killed in one strike. How could they escape? Roar! The members of the Dragon Palace rushed over and killed the 50,000 soldiers who had already collapsed. Hiss, Lord Wang is too terrifying. He destroyed 100,000 soldiers in one strike. This? Heavens, he's too powerful. With just Lord Wang alone, he can destroy an entire dynasty, right? Everyone from the Dragon Phoenix dynasty stared with their eyes wide open. They looked at the peerless expert floating in the sky, their eyes filled with reverence. This strength, no wonder he was able to destroy the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. The king of the Dongyuan kingdom, who had already fled nearly 10 kilometers ahead, turned his head and took a glance, his eyelids twitching. He could already imagine how terrifying it would be to destroy that mysterious force from the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. However, he had never expected that the other party would actually destroy 100,000 elites of his Dongyuan dynasty in one move. His heart was dripping with blood. The soldiers who had followed him here to subvert the Dragon Phoenix dynasty this time were the most elite army of the Dongyuan dynasty. If there's a chance, I will definitely take revenge. I will definitely kill all of you and leave no one alive in your Dragon Phoenix dynasty. His eyes turned bloodshot. Originally, he had thought of coming to the Dragon Phoenix Empire to bring those 2 treasures over. With those 2 treasures, his strength would greatly increase. It would also be of great benefit to the entire Dongyuan Empire. However, he had never thought that he would encounter the faction that destroyed the One-Leaf Continent Empire. Just you wait! He growled, glanced behind him, and continued to flee. He wanted to return to the dynasty, collect all the treasures, and then abandon his country and flee. Do you think you can escape? At this moment, a cold voice sounded out beside his ear, and a figure of light and darkness appeared in front of him. Pooh! What, I? He widened his eyes, which were filled with disbelief. Buzz. Everything disappeared, including the king's body. Kill them! Don't let them escape! Roar! Roar! Angry killing sounds and the roars of the members of the Dragon Palace. Soon, the army of the Dongyuan dynasty was destroyed. At this point, the armies of the 4 countries were all destroyed. Chapter 1373. 1373 swept across the 4 kingdoms. Victory! We've won! Ha! The Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is invincible. The Queen is invincible. Lord Wang is invincible. He destroyed 100,000 in one strike. He's too strong. When the Dongyuan dynasty's army was destroyed, the cheers of victory resounded throughout the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. All the citizens cheered excitedly. The city gates opened and the citizens rushed out one by one. The army and dynasty that were supporting them looked at their queen and their lord king in awe. Clean up all the corpses quickly. Ao Qitian, Ao Jian, Ao Qixia, and Mu Zixin, the 4 of you will follow me. Wan Xian looked at the densely packed corpses on the ground without the slightest fluctuation. As for destroying 100,000 in one strike, it wasn't an extremely difficult task for him. With the destructive power of the 5 elements' great mill, it was completely easy for him to kill 100,000 in one strike. As he spoke, he looked at Feng Yuan, who was at the side. Feng Yuan nodded her head slowly. Her gaze swept across all the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. All the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, listen up! The Star Moon Empire, the Dongyuan Empire, the Wind Howl Empire, and the Southern Cloud Empire have invaded us. Next, we must destroy them all within 10 days. We must either submit or die. 10 days later, our Dragon Phoenix Empire will soar into the skies and shock the world. Yes, destroy them and unify the 4 great empires. Destroy them and unify the 4 great empires. The Dragon Phoenix Empire's soldiers roared out in excitement. The crowd was excited. Their small Dragon Phoenix Empire had defeated the 4 great empires. Each of these 4 kings had more than 10 cities, and the Dongyuan dynasty had more than 20 cities. They were the best of the dozen or so nearby countries. If they took over all 4 dynasties, their Dragon Phoenix dynasty's territory would expand by dozens of times. At that time, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, which had more than 60 cities, would become the strongest existence in the nearby area. At that time, the Dragon and Phoenix Empire would be considered to have shocked the world. All the soldiers, follow me on the expedition! Feng Yuan shouted softly and swept her gaze across all the soldiers. Line up! Meng Hong roared loudly and shouted excitedly. Yes! The soldiers lined up and stared at Her Majesty and their Lord Wang with burning eyes. Flood Dragon, come! Wang Xian shouted softly. With a wave of his arm, a dragon throne and a phoenix throne were formed using attributes. Roar, roar! The 9 flood dragons swayed their 30-meter large bodies and flew to the front. Buzz! The wind attribute energy on their bodies moved and pulled the dragon throne and phoenix throne. Wang Xian gestured to Feng Yuan. Let's go! Feng Yuan revealed a smile on her face. With a move of her body, she flew to the phoenix throne and sat on it. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne. The 9 flood dragons roared and flew into the distance. Behind them, the 100,000 troops of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire followed closely behind. The 100,000 troops of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire were not weak. They were the strongest warriors that Feng Yuan had painstakingly nurtured. Each of them was at least at level 5 of the extraordinary realm. There were 14 insightful void martial artists following them. However, with Wang Xian's 9 flood dragons and the leaders of the Dragon Palace, it was not difficult to take down 4 empires. My queen, the Star Moon Empire's Eastern Sea City is 20 kilometers ahead. After flying for 5 hours, they were about to arrive at the first city. The city lord of Eastern Sea City has already died in battle when he came to invade our empire. Go straight there and kill them if they dare to resist. Feng Yuan ordered coldly. Yes, your majesty. The soldiers immediately replied. Come, come, come. We congratulate Lord Wei. We congratulate Lord Wei for being as blessed as the East Sea. We also welcome Lord Wei to settle down in East Sea City in the future. Today, our city lord and legion commander will follow Her Majesty to attack the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. They are unable to come personally. Our city lord's mansion and the Ocean Cultivators Legion congratulate Lord Wei. At this moment, the entire Eastern Sea City was extremely lively and festive today. Everyone in the city, including the people from the City Lord's Mansion and the Ocean Cultivator Corps, all came to a manor and gave congratulatory gifts to a middle-aged man. Ha ha, thank you, everyone from the City Lord's Mansion and the Ocean Cultivator Corps. When the City Lord and General return in triumph, I'll have a good chat with them. The middle-aged man was General Wei, who had betrayed the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. At this moment, he proudly bowed to the people below with a smile on his face, enjoying the respect of everyone below. After he left the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, he came directly to East Ocean City. After the City Lord of East Ocean City learned about it, he treated him with hospitality and invited him to stay here. General Wei hesitated for a moment and agreed. Looking at all the aristocratic families in the Eastern Sea City looking at him respectfully, the corners of General Wei's mouth curled up slightly. When he joined the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, he valued the resources and status of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. However, he later discovered that his status was not very high in the entire Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. This was because the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty only had one imperial city, and he could not act recklessly in the imperial city. As a general, he could not even make a move when he liked the beauty he liked. This made him feel very uncomfortable. Looking at the group of beauties sent over by the group of nobles, he narrowed his eyes slightly. HMPH, a general who might have already been destroyed might as well be a noble in Eastern Sea City. He narrowed his eyes slightly and raised the cup in his hand to signal to everyone. Below, everyone quickly raised their cups respectfully in fear and trepidation. Boom! Everyone in Eastern Sea City, listen up. Star Moon Dynasty is attacking our Dragon Phoenix Dynasty. All warriors, including the king, will be beheaded, submitted, or die. Roar, roar! At this moment, a loud sound was suddenly heard, accompanied by a cold voice and a roar. The sound covered the entire Eastern Sea City. Oh my God, what's going on? What? The defensive formation of our Eastern Sea City was destroyed in one blow. Look at the sky, that army, that creature, it's so terrifying. Our king was killed? The army that went to attack the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty was destroyed? How? How is this possible? Within Eastern Sea City, everyone raised their heads and looked up into the sky. Their eyes were wide open, filled with shock. The 100,000-strong army charged over, but the soldiers on the city walls did not have the slightest reaction. The 30-meter-long creature lightly struck out, and the city protection formation shattered. As the closest city to the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty, they naturally knew that the Star Moon Dynasty had joined forces with the Wind Howl Dynasty and the Southern Cloud Dynasty to destroy the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty today. In the eyes of the people of East Sea City, this dynasty could be easily destroyed, but they had never expected the enemy to attack. Their king and army were directly destroyed. How was this possible? Kneel down, everyone, kneel down. Otherwise, I'll kill you! A cold voice sounded from the sky, and a terrifying pressure pressed down. Everyone's expressions changed drastically. What, this? This is impossible! At this moment, General Wei, who was in the manor of Eastern Sea City, opened his eyes wide. He stood up and stared at the sky in disbelief. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.